the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, Eid Mubarak to those of you that have just finished celebrating Ramadan, who are in the Islamic faith. But I'm not going to talk too much about Islam today. I'm going to rebuke Sadiq Khan for what he has done during what should be a time of prayer, a time of reflection, a time of charity in the Islamic faith. He is a man who is always determined to bring about hatred, always determined to bring about division, always determined to drive a wedge in between people. His decision to host that event at Trafalgar Square were well-meaning, but, probably politically inastute Muslim old dears turned up to pray. That has caused an enormous amount of offence in Britain. To go to the heart of London and shout, Allah is the only God and Muhammad is his Muhammad is his messenger, that is something that people take a great deal of offence about. Now, I'm not going to blame the ordinary, sensible Muslim people who go along just thinking that they're trying to do something because it's Ramadan. I blame Sadiq Khan. He is deliberately trying to stoke up racial tensions. I've said this before. I believe in this concept that they have in the House of Commons, where everybody is an honourable gentleman or an honourable lady. That is to say that everybody has their ideas. They might be right, they might be wrong, but they're all doing them for the right reasons. And through debate, we can find out what the correct answer is. And sometimes you'll be right, and sometimes I'll be right, and we'll get a mixture. That is not true of Sadiq Khan. He is somebody who's built a political career on othering people. He has built a political career on trying to create division and hatred and animosity between people, a divide and conquer strategy. He knew full well the offence that it would cause to have Muslims praying in Trafalgar Square. He knew full well that the Islamic call to prayer in the centre of London would cause additional problems and additional community tensions. He knows all that, and that is why he does it, I would suggest to you. So I want to say to normal, sensible Muslim people who watch and listen to this show, Eid Mubarak. For those of you that did keep Ramadan, congratulations. For those of you that didn't, you can try next year. But I will tell you, I've got no time whatsoever for what Sadiq Khan has done, because once again, this is about needling people. Just the same as when he banned white people from any of his promotional materials. Just the same as when he had an argument with the people of Bromley over ULEZ when it was not needed. Just the same as when he became the only police and crime commissioner in Britain who refused to investigate grooming gangs properly. Just the same as the way that he has attempted to create sectarianism and factionalism and hatred throughout his entire political career. Just the same as when he was mates with Babar Ahmed. Just the same as when he defended Hezbollah Tahrir. Just the same as when he went to court in order to defend a French Algerian at Guantanamo Bay who'd never even been to London. The police said, how have you managed to instruct this man when you've never even met him? Amazing that Sadiq managed to do it nonetheless. And just the same as the time when I went to Tooting Mosque and Sadiq Khan's goons attempted to attack me. Luckily, there was an incredibly strong room where they keep all the cash, which I locked the door and Sadiq's people weren't able to get me. That was reported, by the way, in the press. I absolutely loathe Sadiq Khan, and I don't have any problem with admitting it, but it is for those reasons. It's not because he's a Muslim, it's not because he's Eid, it's not because it's Ramadan, it's because he's a man who dines out on hatred. Asher, serious offence was caused by this event, wasn't it?
Yeah, I do, and I agree with what Nick Timothy said. The Shadow, is he Shadow Home Secretary?
Yes.
And then describes...
Shadow Justice, I think.
Right, well, for Starmer to come out and say, you should sack him, how dare he want to shut down, it's perfectly valid point to make. He said it was out the Islamist playbook, and like you say, there was probably plenty of Muslims there that weren't weren't anything like that. But there's a lot of people there who are doing it as a sort of stamp of authority that they're here, they're not going, and they get the Islam's coming. Yeah, we'll be taking your calls 03444991000. But yeah, it's. I don't think we should have any other religious, prayers in London apart from Christian ones. I think it's the national religion. I don't mind the odd party and that, but actually praying, and they were facing a church in Trafalgar Square. It was offensive.
Do you agree with me and Asher? Because Asher and I yesterday said the following thing. Now, look, I'm not Church of England and neither is Asher, but our view is very, very firmly there is a state religion in this country. It is the Church of England. Point number one, if Eid clashes with Easter, Easter takes priority. If Diwali clashes with Christmas, Christmas takes priority. If Hanukkah clashes with it doesn't matter. What will happen is it's not you get Diwali, you get Ramadan, you get Christmas. No. As far as I'm concerned, in Oxford Street, where Sadiq Khan is not in charge, but he has significant sway, it should be Christmas and Easter, and everybody else can fit in.
But even if it's not a festival, we shouldn't have other religion. This is not the religion of this country. I don't think we should have that. I mean, if you have it at your mosque, I don't like, any of them doing it, really. I don't mind, say it's a celebration. They're not praying, they go in a park and it's all arranged.
Now, by the way, we are going to talk to George Gilbert, but I want to thank my mate Asghar, who is the first Muslim mayor of a Royal Borough. He gave me this book on the life of Muhammad, which I shall read, and also he gave me this. A glass. Asher, 2 glasses. We're going to try the newly launched Palestine Cola. Right. Oh, yeah. Whilst we're enjoying the Palestine Cola, it's got the.
I had a can of Gaza Cola the other day.
It's got
the
pretty
good.
Scarf logo.
Gaza Cola.
It's produced, unbelievably, for those of you that think that the place is being taken over by uncontrolled immigration, Palestine Cola is produced in Malmo, Sweden, which is, that bit that's just near Copenhagen, the bit of Sweden that's really near Denmark. Okay, whilst we're doing that, we are going to say that we're going to take your calls, 03444991000, and George Gilbert is with us. He's a former Big Brother contestant. He's going to comment on this. But first of all, we've got this really, really worrying story about the fact that George applied to be a Reform UK councillor, and what happened. We're going to be drinking this while you tell the story.
Right, so in 2022, thanks for having me on, by the way. In 2022, I joined Reform UK as a member. I'm not affiliated in an official position, but I was just a member. This is before Nigel Farage was leader. This is before they even had a single MP. So I've been there from day one.
Yes.
Since the party's infancy. I've been unwaveringly loyal in that time. Throughout the past few months, you're enjoying that? In the last few months, I've stood up for them on podcasts, in debates. I've stood by them despite their, at times, discrepant statements. And I've even attended numerous rallies. I went to there was a Christmas fundraiser attended by Lee Anderson in Essex. Yep. Went to that at Christmas. This was after Big Brother. And they even went door knocking in Coggeshall at the council by-election just a few weeks ago that they won. So I helped them win. This is all since Big Brother. Now, earlier this week, I saw one of the Reform advertisements. They're looking for people to run for them at the council elections in May. So
they need people in Essex.
Exactly, in my division. And as somebody with parish council experience and somebody who's been unwaveringly loyal, as I say, to the Reform cause, what better person could possibly run?
I agree with that. And you've got a media profile, you've got this new documentary coming out.
You think I'm an angel falling from the skies for them. Yeah. So I put my name in the hat to run as councillor for Reform, and a couple of days ago I got the verdict back. Not only have they declined my application to be a councillor, but they've revoked my membership of the party. My membership has been running almost...
And what did the letter say? So I remember I wanted to vote for Jeremy Corbyn in the Labour leadership election. I joined the Labour Party, and my rejection letter said, not only are you a well-known Tory, but you also like Nigel Farage, as if they couldn't think of anything worse. But what did yours say?
Well, mine said, due to offensive comments that were not aired when I was on Big Brother, due to those offensive comments, they do not want me associated with the Reform brand, and they want me out of the party.
But did they say the comments that were not aired? They didn't say that, did they?
Yeah, they didn't say the comments. They just said because they weren't aired, they must have been so.
I see. I see.
In such poor taste that we don't want you to be associated with. So this is all alleged comments. They have not been officially published by ITV. And even I've been on numerous podcasts. I was on here and told you what the comments were.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I still don't regret those comments because nothing I said.
Just to be clear about your shtick. You are somebody who loves to discuss issues and think them through. And you, as a thought, my understanding is you, as a thought experiment, said, why has there been so much anti-Semitism in history? What is the common theme between all of these people? But it was more of a thought experiment than anything else.
Oh, yeah, you come up with different talking points on shows like that. Certainly in an environment where you're packed in amongst loads of strangers, you just talk about things that are in the common public discussion right now, and one of those things was the Epstein Island, and someone brought that up, and then people started talking about anti-Semitism. So I noticed a pattern throughout history books where lots of notable historical figures have anti-Semitism in their writings, rightly or wrongly.
They do.
And I was just trying to begin an interesting conversation, trying to make good telly. Sue me.
You asked the question, why were they all anti-Semites if they were seemingly intelligent?
Exactly.
Now, my argument would be because a lot of Jewish people were bankers and everyone's always hated bankers.
Well,
that would be my
Well, hardly any are bankers, that's the thing.
No, but they were brought into the UK as
throughout
bankers,
the
weren't
ages.
Well, very few of them were bankers.
Historically.
There's about 6 of them out of the... you know what I mean? It's sort of like that. And a lot of
maybe the families that run the banks.
Yeah, no,
happen
there
to
are,
be.
powerful families. I mean there was the Medici in Italy, and there was a lot of Jewish families. But I mean, overall, there's hardly any Jews.
I think the irony is about anti-Semitism. The irony is, it's clear to me that it's related to assimilation, because people go. So obviously what would happen is people wouldn't necessarily notice that somebody's a Jew, and then they'll go, oh, he's a Jew, he's a Jew, he's a Jew. Oh, my God, they're everywhere. And you think, well, if you've assimilated as an ethnic minority, one would expect you to be.
They don't like Jews because they assimilate, and then they don't like Jews because they do assimilate. You know what I mean? And the thing is, that's it's an old anti-Semitic trope where they must have done something for all these people to be against them. And I'm not saying you think that, but I mean, that is one thing that anti-Semites might say. Well, there must be some problem with them because they've always had trouble with
I have heard people say that. Yeah. But what in that case, Asher, let me ask you, what would you do with George? Because my view would... So, here's what would happen to...
I'd just give him a good spanking and then he'd be all right.
We did that 5 minutes ago anyway.
The party chairman will say, if we run this person in Essex, they're going to run the footage a week before the election. That's what's
because of all the Farage thing and the old, they have a due diligence thing. They're a bit too...
Let's not forget, this is the party containing Nigel Farage, who engaged in anti-Semitic bullying when he was a similar age to me.
Didn't he deny that or something?
Well, I'm denying it. So play with that one.
Point.
Also, Zia Youssef is part of the party. He liked to tweet referring to Robert Jemrick as a traitorous Zogbot with a Jewish wife and family.
Did it?
He says, somebody may have liked that
by
on
accident.
Maybe somebody said that by accident out of my mouth. I don't know. And Lee Anderson, he says Islamophobia is a made-up word. These are all offensive comments.
Every word's been made up.
Those are all offensive comments, so it's all right for them to do it. But when little old me comes along and makes an offensive comment, they show me the door, and that's my gripe.
This cuts to the big concern that I've got. Much as I love Nigel Farage, much as I love David Bull, and all of these guys, my concern is that they constantly panic about anybody being of any interest. This was the problem. This is what killed the Conservative Party, by the way. What they would have is, every election, they would try and surgically remove anyone who was in any way different, in any way interesting, and that's fine for that one election. Fast forward 20 years and your front bench is so nondescript that nobody can remember who any of them are. I would say, the other thing that I find odd is that you have a perfect ability to go and defend yourself, don't you? You can, if somebody says George Gilbert's an anti-Semite, you can take to the mic and tell them to piss off.
Because I'm confident that I am not.
Yeah.
I just like to engage in thoughtful conversation, but obviously Reform are not the party of free speech, like they protest. Thou doth protest too much. They tell us all these things.
What if they were to say, the big problem is the media environment that we exist in, and actually what they will do is eviscerate George Gilbert and we will be unable to save him? I mean, that would be their argument.
They might say, we don't think you're anti-Semitic, but, you know, the media, what would happen?
And I agree, there could be a bit of controversy having me stand as a candidate for them.
Which I would be fine
deny
with.
my council candidate application and keep me on as a member then, because I've stood by Farage in the Big Brother house. I was ostracised in there, lost friends.
Was he in there with you, was he?
No, I was back in his corner in there, like nobody else would, when it was by no means fashionable to do so. I was standing by reform. As I say, I've lost friends. I've been on podcasts publicly defending them against other prominent individuals. Look up the What's Left podcast. I've donated my time and money to campaigns, and after 4 years of membership, even longer than Farage himself, this is how I'm treated. And you know, I'm not the first case, and I certainly won't be the last. This happened to Ben Habib, to Rupert Lowe, even locally to me. There's a guy called Richard Thompson, salt of the earth bloke.
I think I know him. We were going to get him on the show.
Perfect candidate for a member of parliament.
Isn't he with Advance UK?
He is now, because he was ousted by Reform for writing an article because they didn't like it.
Yeah.
Can we really trust a party like Reform under the auspices of such a nefarious demeanour to instigate the change this country needs? Because I tell you something, in 2029, that is our last chance to fix what needs to be fixed in this country. If we get it wrong, there will be no country left. I think we are at the end game now. Therefore, I've lost a lot of support for what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it. I will be voting for my independent stroke Green candidate at the council elections. He's a Green candidate.
Racist.
And I'm saying that because in order to support Restore Britain, because they are the natural next step for a man like me, I now support Restore Britain, right? If I'm going to support them, but they haven't fielded a candidate in my division, how best can I then support? What's the next best thing? I think is to damage their biggest contender, being Reform. So therefore, I need to vote for the number 2 spot in my division. That happens to be the Greens. For yours, it may be different, but in that way, Reform are not going to gain as much momentum as if we did vote for them and they won that seat. We want to stunt Reform's momentum because they don't have what it takes. They're Conservatives in disguise.
But you talk to a Ben Habib Rupert Lowe issue where they say that this is just the cult of Nigel Farage, and if you are not Nigel Farage, then you are either an acolyte of Nigel Farage or you are out.
Yeah,
that is what you're saying, and you're not the first person to say it, is my point.
Exactly. Well, there's no smoke without fire.
Which was the point you were making.
Exactly. There's so many cases of people of Reform being disgustingly disloyal. I'm just the latest on a long list. So can we trust them to really change the country?
I don't know. Can we trust them?
Oh, and for those of you out there who are saying I'm deluded for saying I'll vote Greens, because I'm not supporting Greens, I'm voting for them to support Restore. If you challenge that stance, how can we support Restore Britain? Because I think we need to inflict the most damage we can to Reform, being Restore's biggest arch rival. Now,
what if,
hang on a second, the letter wasn't from George Madgwick, was it?
No, a guy called Tom Waterhouse, General Secretary.
Oh,
yeah. So do you agree that I think with the council, in a general election, I wouldn't vote Greens. Even I wouldn't bring myself to doing that. But in the council elections, it matters less. So we need to get momentum on Restore's side, and therefore we need to damage Reform's momentum.
Well, let's decide whether we agree or not over the break, and then you'll come back and find out, because George Gilbert, his feelings are very, very hurt. But look at him there, look.
I'm angry.
He's angry.
You really are, aren't you?
He's hurt, and he's been supporting him for 4 years anyway.
They don't understand the things I say on Twitter.
Yeah, they don't understand him. 0344 499 1000. Give us a ring. Tell us what you think. Did Reform do the right thing or not? We'll be back. It's Andre and Ash. We'll be back after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, this has set the cat amongst the pigeons, hasn't it? Because George Gilbert is here saying that at least in a local election, he's now going to vote Green in order to prevent Nigel Farage from having enough momentum so that we can get a proper right-wing party restore. Now, listen, have you ever seen The Running Man, where Captain Freedom hangs up his announcer's mic and comes into the ring? Ellie Hodges has decided to not bother waiting for the press preview to come on. She's decided to come on early because you take issue with what George Gilbert has said. Now, I was telling my dad about you the other day. You go to all of the Reform press conferences and say it's virtually like a full-time job now.
Yeah, it's because there's so many of them. They have them all the time. But
what he's saying sounds to me to be fairly reasonable, I have to say.
Yeah, so to be fair, I did only hear like the last bit of it, but from what I've heard is that basically you're annoyed at Reform, so you're going to support Restore instead. And now you want to damage Reform because it's a personal grievance.
He's going to vote for Green.
This isn't a personal vendetta against Reform.
He has a cunning plan.
Well, yeah, this is strategic. We need to be cunning with how we vote. Do you really think that Reform UK will instigate the change required to restore this country back to greatness? Because I'm seeing a lot of...
Do you think Restore will win a general election?
Yes, because 3 years ago you wouldn't have said Reform could win a general election.
Well, they
3 years is a long time. But in order to win, the biggest and most fundamental hurdle will be in May. Therefore, we need to stunt Reform's momentum as much as we can. In order to do that, we need to vote for their biggest contender in your respective division. Mine happens to be an independent stroke Green candidate, so he's getting my vote, and I actually know him from the parish council.
Ellie, your response?
Good guy.
Well, I just think that you're preying on Britain's downfall by doing this because it's a personal grievance from what I've spoken to hear anyway. And I think that even if you disagree with Reform on many things, which I completely understand so many people do, they are the only real right-wing party that can change this country.
No, they're not.
And you're voting for a Green candidate just because you're annoyed at Reform?
No, I'm voting for them because it's all part of the master plan, because I can't vote Restore. I can't vote Restore because I haven't got a candidate. So what's the next best thing to do to support Restore is what I'm doing.
So do you think Restore are going to be able to have a representative in every single constituency by
2029?
Yeah.
Yes.
OK, let me ask you this question, Ellie. Now, just to be clear, Ellie is not a representative of the Reform Party, so it would be unfair for you to... But what about this central point that he makes, which I think is his killer line, which is this? If you don't want me as a council candidate because I'm controversial, that is one thing. Expelling me from the party is something else. For all my arguments with Conservative campaign headquarters, and trust me, they hated me, they never for 1 second suggested they would expel somebody from the party for disagreeing with something they'd said. They never said that.
Well, can you remind me of the exact remarks that you made? Because I'm actually
but they don't know what the remarks are.
In the statement, that
which
I
might make it worse.
Yeah, but they said been out in public though.
Alleged, no, not.
Well, you said it on this show.
So just to be clear,
yes,
just to clear up the confusion for everybody, what you have to bear in mind is that the makers of Big Brother have said that George Gilbert said something on the programme that was so anti-Semitic we threw him off the programme. It's so offensive we've not heard it. Now, what Reform are saying is, we don't know what it is that you said, but whatever it is, it must be quite bad. Now, he's saying, actually, it wasn't that bad. The makers of Big Brother are just woke idiots.
So
but it would have said it in the press, wouldn't it? They would have had stories, they would have looked it up and seen it.
No,
they would have said anti-Semitic.
Somebody must have complained about it.
And even if they don't believe you are, they'd say, well, that's bad publicity in the media, we can't, it's toxic.
But decline my council candidate application. Don't revoke my membership after all I've been through to support Reform UK. And this is the final straw that broke the camel's back, because, as I say, I'm not the first person this has happened to. It certainly won't be the last. It'll be you in a couple of months.
Wouldn't you? Why don't you start...
Well, I'm not making anti-Semitism.
What about Restore, though? Why wouldn't you stand for Restore?
It's fair to say that he's upset.
Maybe they will, and that's why I'm not a Restore member right now, because I've been stung. I've pledged allegiance to the Conservatives in 2019. They
wasted
annoyed me because that was a waste of time. Then Reform, and they come after me personally. So I can't really feel I can trust any
I think Restore will be all right with your comments.
But Ellie, in defence of his position, in defence of his position, what
Rupert would be all right.
What the hell else is he meant to do when they've said we're not even willing to take your membership money? I mean, what is he supposed to do?
Actually,
he can't dance down the.
I've asked for a refund. Actually,
I'm sure they'll give it to you. But he can't exactly dance onto a show like this and say I have full confidence in reform when they've thrown him out.
No, I'm not saying that. I just think that you should admit that the reason that you're doing this is for a personal reason.
Okay. But it's not, so I'm not going to admit it.
Mike in Colchester says, hearing your guest's demeanour and how quickly he has been to publicly speak out against reform and saying he will vote against, and while simultaneously saying we're in the last chance saloon to save the UK, it sounds like reform made the right decision to suspend his membership. I wouldn't want someone like that in my team either, Mike in Colchester.
But is there another sub? I think there's a subplot to this story, isn't there? When I visited Reform HQ, Nigel Farage was very proud of his due diligence people and his vetting people and his compliance people, and that was the one thing he wanted to show you. Oh, look over here, these people check up on everyone, and it's things like, if you're tweeting at 3 a.m, then they know you're on the sniff, right? You know, they were that sophisticated, right? But, well, come on, let's be honest. Well,
I'm up there, not on the sniff.
But we work till 2 a.m, right? But. Yeah, okay. Night workers are not on the sniff.
Helps them get through the night.
But look, that was a throwaway comment. But my point being was that they were trying to be very, very clear on compliance. Nigel Farage has spent his entire career having to defend people he's never met. Yeah. Is this an argument, Ellie, for saying the due diligence people that he's brought in, the compliance people that he's brought in, now he's got a truckload of money, are overzealous? Because I think that would be my conclusion.
Well, especially as the accusations off Nigel as well.
But I challenge that, because why didn't they boot me out straight after Big Brother then? Why did they wait after I supported their Christmas fundraiser?
Because the due diligence people hadn't looked at you. Because they didn't know you were.
But I was public about my support in the Big Brother house and on podcasts. I know some members personally. I've got them on Twitter, on X. I saw Ellie at Layla Cunningham's. She did a speech in London just about a month ago. I went to Lee Anderson's Christmas fundraiser. I even went door knocking in Coggeshall to support their council by-election.
And door knocking in Coggeshall.
Well, why are they kicking me out now? If they're so good at due diligence, why didn't they kick me out in October?
No. Sorry,
they've used me.
Forgive me. That is correct. Forgive me. What I mean is, the due diligence comes in and they're checking up on council candidates, and what they've done is they've gone completely over the top. Instead of saying, why don't you come in for a chat about this, they've gone, don't have him and expel him from the party.
Oh, so you weren't standing for the council then? You weren't you were just a member? Now that they've looked into you more when you said I'm going to stand.
But let me just ask you this.
My application then. Don't remove me from the party.
Let me ask you this.
Hurtful.
When you say you feel used, explain.
Because I have given lots of time, some money that I've donated, and I've supported initiatives and given them my support at my own detriment. As I say, I've lost friends. I've often been ostracised in certain environments when it's not fashionable to be right-leaning. And now, when I just want an unpaid position as a councillor, because they need councils, I've got parish council experience.
Wait, so you actually are a councillor?
Exactly. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a lower level, but yes, I've got the experience. So I'm trying to give them something as a favour. I'm not looking for a paid position in the HQ. So after 4 years of loyalty, this is how I do understand, but they can decline my application. They don't have to revoke my membership. That's where annoyed me.
You have to be consistent, though. It's not like they can actually just decline your role and then also keep your membership, or else they'll get accusations of, oh, so you're going to let him still be a paid member, but you're
then kick me out straight after Big Brother. Don't wait 6 months and then do it. We just said
that there's a different vetting process once you want to become a councillor.
Sharpen up your vetting process then. It's not my problem. But I used to believe that there's a quiet dignity to unwavering loyalty to a leader that sometimes you even disagree with, because that's what politics is all about. We all know how deceitful some people are in politics. So I have bit my tongue. Some of the things with the Rupert Lowe case is a good example. I sympathise with Rupert Lowe, but I bit my tongue because the greater good, reform, them getting in power, is better than anyone else, because they're most likely. But this is a straw that broke the camel's back. It's happened one too many times, and I do think one day you may say something offensive and they'll come after you. We can't trust a party that operates under the auspices of such nefarious behaviour. Get them gone.
Right, well, we're going to take a little break here, and as William Congreve said, nor hell has a fury like a ginger scorned, and we're seeing it tonight manifest. We've got George Gilbert on. He's been kicked out. He's angry. You don't like him when he's angry. You won't like him. He's going to go and vote for the Greens. Ellie Hodges has had to come in to try and defuse the situation. It's made it even worse. 03444991000. Let's see if you can talk George down. It's Andre Nash with Ellie Hodges and George Gilbert. We'll be back after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, well, look, I think we are where we are with the George situation. I just wanted to ask of both of you, before we do the press preview, which obviously we're going to be looking through all of the newspapers, I want to ask the two of you, do you agree with my introduction at the beginning of the show that this Islamic prayer in Trafalgar Square was just a bad idea? I'm not having a go at the individual Muslims that turned up. I just think that they're probably well-meaning, hadn't really thought about it. Sadiq Khan is a nightmare. He would have known how much trouble this would have caused.
I actually think a lot of people are being quite hypocritical on this, because that area has been used before by Jews celebrating Hanukkah. It's been used by Christians.
Yep.
It's been used by Hindus. It's been used by Sikhs. And I understand why people are getting annoyed at this. But it is hypocritical because they're not calling it out when it's other religions.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think any religion should. I mean, they don't really have prayers and that. They don't do whole sort of
keep
praying
it in the
sessions.
place of worship.
I mean,
even Christians.
Well, no, I think it's a Christian country.
I mean, it's fine
a Christian country, but
consistent with it. It's fine.
A lot of people would say, not to bring them up again, but Restore Britain are focusing too much on being a Christian party. Nobody I know is that devout. I mean, there's one or two people, but I don't think that's part of our cultural language anymore.
But the next election, there's going to be Islamists elected to the House of Commons. There are a couple already, but I estimate there'll be 30 Islamist Gaza, Palestine MPs or whatever. There will be an Islamic voting bloc in the way that there has never been a black voting bloc. There's never been an Indian voting bloc. There's never really been a Christian voting bloc, probably since the English Civil War, and then some issues in Northern Ireland which are not relevant to GB. But there will be an explicitly Islamic agenda being pushed forward at the next election, and it's not the nice ones from your local curry house, it's the nasty squad.
Well, Nick Timothy says it's from the Islamist playbook, and although, they're not all Islamists obviously there, but that is the Islamist playbook, and it's gradually do a bit more and more, take over the democracy, you know what I mean? This is exactly what he's saying, and he's right.
I feel it's intentionally provocative. They know it riles people up seeing these huge,
and then they can say,
Times Square,
all we were doing was praying. See, they're all racist.
It's these little, they're chipping away at people's
Islam
patience.
slicing,
And Christians, they're too submissive. They just bend over.
It means submission,
it.
doesn't it? I mean,
they don't bend over and take it. George, they hate that.
Some of them do.
They hate that.
Sorry,
they're not into that at all.
Sorry to be
very much against.
That's not what I've heard.
Figuratively, that's what happens. And because Christians do turn a blind eye, pardon the pun, they know they can get away with it. These strains of...
But they're doing it in churches.
We don't mind it. We don't mind a mosque there, maybe, but keep the prayer there. Don't do it in our place.
Do you not feel like the Islamic community is being had by the Muslim Brotherhood? Basically, they're deliberately trying to create uncontrolled immigration. They're deliberately trying to create community tensions. Sadiq Khan is not a member of the Brotherhood, nor Muslim Brotherhood, nor is he a member of Hezb Tahrir. But let's just be charitable and say he's had some friends that have been involved, right? Babar Ahmed is best mate from school, right? He described, just to be clear, on his website, he said, Babar Ahmed is my best friend from school. Then he said, Babar Ahmed is my cousin. Then he said, Babar Ahmed is somebody I played football with. Then he said, on the same page, I'd never met him until after I became Member of Parliament. Babar Ahmed, who Sadiq Khan visited 3 times in Belmarsh, once before he was a Member of Parliament and twice after he was a Member of Parliament, pleaded guilty to being the lead fundraiser of Al-Qaeda on the internet. His best mate from school, then his cousin, then not his cousin, then there are people, and Sadiq Khan is top of the list. There are people who are willing to tolerate Islamic extremists for political reasons. I don't think Sadiq Khan's a racist. I don't think he's probably particularly sectarian. He will do anything for a vote. He's cheap.
Yeah, you're right.
He'll love that. Hi, Sadiq.
Yeah, all this press he's getting.
No, don't worry, he already hates me.
Well, a lot of what he posts, I saw it earlier. Happy Eid Mubarak to all my people. Isn't flat whites never tasted so good?
Yeah.
Looking all scrawny, and you just want to punch him in the face, don't you?
No, you don't. Not literally. Figuratively.
Figuratively. I think he knows what he's doing. He's like a puppeteer manipulating the public, and he knows how to get under your skin.
On October the 7th. On October the 7th, it was quite funny. I was working... Oh, sorry, there was a terrorist attack somewhere.
Yeah, it wasn't funny.
And what I did was, I was asked for Breitbart to put together a list of comments by politicians. And it was all like, literally, this is disgusting, this is the worst thing I've ever seen, Britain should come together. And Sadiq Khan had tweeted one thing that day, and it was related to overcrowding in Islington. So I said, Sadiq Khan said, I'm extremely concerned about overcrowding in Islington. And he actually then put out a new tweet, deleted that one. And sort of, anyway, let's get on to the press preview because I think I've got a lot of very, very sensible and lovely Muslim friends who I think are being deceived. Well, they're not being deceived. There's a race war is being created by the Muslim Brotherhood, and we're falling into the trap.
Right, the Times, Saturday. PM agrees Trump can use bases to strike Iran. Well, it's a bit late, isn't it?
He's no Churchill.
I was thinking, by the way, we're talking about Israel bombing the thing and not telling Trump. Obviously, Trump did know, and what happened was, Trump said, yeah, go and do it, but I'll have a go at you after. And Netanyahu has said, I'm sorry, Donald, I'll tell you next time. And obviously what's happened is, because Qatar own half that thing, America, he didn't want to bomb his allies. They gave him a plane a few weeks ago, and they invest billions there. So it's plausible deniability. And then what he will have done, he will have phoned all Japan, Britain and everyone going, look, guys, we can win this war much quicker if you're all join in. I'm going to be all right. The USA self-sufficient, will actually make money from it. So do you want to? Your economies are knackered if you don't. Do you want to come and join us? And it's a cunning way of getting the whole world in, because there's no other reason why Israel would have done it. And they would have told Trump.
I've got to be honest with you. This whole thing about the Straits of Hormuz and NATO, I put on my YouTube channel about the idea that Donald Trump may pull out of NATO, America may pull out, and I'll tell you why. Because if you let's look realistically now the Soviet Union's gone. Right, so you can fully understand why America was willing to fight the Soviet Union. Now, protect a series of European countries that many Americans have never heard of. Now, I'm not being disparaging about Americans, because if anyone in this studio can list in order of north to south where Latvia, Estonia and Lithuania are, right? So if you can put them on a map, you know that the 3 little ones north of Kaliningrad, but if you can put those 3, and in fact Kaliningrad, if you can put those 4 down, so we are not so knowledgeable or interested in the Baltic Sea either. You know what? When it comes to the United States of America, what 50% of Americans would invade to save the United Kingdom. Probably more would do it for Ireland. When you start looking at Latvia, 17%. And what they're saying is, if we're going to have a global alliance, then you know what? If you care about the Baltic Sea, I care about the Straits of Hormuz. So
do you make Trump right for threatening to pull out?
I think Donald Trump should pull out of NATO. I think he should issue the letter, because he's got 1 year, and I think that these countries should start to face the very real possibility of what would happen without the United States of America. And I think they should get a grip. You know, at the
but they lose the bases, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but then I would want the Americans to pull back. I would want it to be some brinkmanship. Look, Kaliningrad and Belarus are 20 miles away from each other. If forces in Kaliningrad link up with forces in Belarus, the war in the Baltic is over in 3 hours maximum. What you were talking about then is American paratroopers landing in Tallinn against a very, very hostile local population, because 30% of the population of these Baltic countries are Russian, ethnic Russians brought in by the Soviet Union. It's a nightmare. Now, if you don't give enough of a toss about America's strategic interests in the Persian Gulf, why are they going to send 1 million soldiers to try and bail out a series of countries they can't even put on a map?
I'll make you right. Thing is with the Iranian war, I believe, as much as I detest the Islamic regime in Iran, I had a bit of trouble with you, Andre, when I was on here defending the Ayatollah. But I believe history belongs to those...
Are you a fan of the Ayatollah?
Let me finish my point. I'm not a fan of him, but I'm saying history belongs to those who want it most. If Iran had boots on the ground in the UK, how many people our sort of age?
They have got boots on the ground in the UK.
So do you take Restore's position of we should just stay out of all foreign wars?
I mean, you make an assessment on each case, but generally, yes, I do agree.
But
with
they'd nuke us, wouldn't they? If they get the nuclear missile.
The son of the Ayatollah, is it coming?
Ayatollah Junior.
He is almost certainly.
He is almost certainly not that keen on the wife.
He will almost certainly die by taking that job.
Yeah.
That is admirable. Even if you hate him, you've got to take your hat off at how ballsy he is. Would you take a job where you know that you're going to die?
Yeah, but he thinks he's going to heaven.
No. Job on.
Yeah, maybe they're a bit
listen.
But I'm saying,
can I tell you something?
There is
even with this house on Bishop's Avenue, now he's only got 1 arm and 1 leg. He's not going to pull down GAY anymore. So there's no point. Oh, sorry. Did we just?
It's gay. You can say it. You don't have to spell it out. Gay. It's perfectly.
I'm seeing
right.
all of these Iranians though. They're willing to put their life on the line for their beliefs, and for that, I can't say the same about British youngsters like you and I. So there's something admirable there.
Well, that's because they believe they're going to paradise.
Anyway, before we say goodbye to George, did anyone get the answer right? The answer is Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Kaliningrad from north to south.
I was just going to say
the Baltic Sea.
Yeah, I was.
Well, you know, if you want the United States of America to defend these countries, you can't place them on a map. That's the reality.
Does it matter though?
As long as you can send the missile, as long as you've got a TomTom, a GPS, you'll be all right anyway. Anyway, thanks for coming in, George.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And yes,
have you calmed down a bit now? Have we helped you out or made you worse?
I haven't lost my mind. I do still agree with a lot of what reforms say. I just don't think they are all they're proclaimed to be. Elon Musk is right. They are weak. They do not have what it takes.
They've plateaued, haven't they, a bit at the moment?
Yeah, and I'm sad to see it. I like Nigel Farage as a man, but this is just one step too far.
Have you thought about contacting Farage directly?
No point, is there?
I think by the time the general election comes round and you realise that there's only one chance left to save this country, I think you'll
I'll vote restore. I'll finish
He's just a bit hurt at the moment.
I mean, I can understand.
I think you're just personally offended.
He's just lashing out.
Tell you what we'll do. I will try. Oh no, you said you've now slagged them off on Instagram, haven't you?
No,
yeah. Strategically, you've got to be cunning and tactical with your vote. We don't exercise our right. Yes, it's one step backward for two steps forward later. We're too regimented, right? We have to. There's
one
step forward, two steps back.
It's true though. We're not tactical enough. The people on the right, the left, know that they will do anything it takes to get ahead.
George, we've done that bit now.
I'll be proven right in the end.
We've done it.
Sorry, but I'm confident.
Who invented
I'm right.
the skip?
You'll kick yourself when I'm proven right.
Who invented the skip?
You'll kick
anyway,
yourself.
look.
Right, stop! Don't ask that question.
No, we don't.
We've asked him that question every time. Just get on with it.
03444991000. When we come back, George is going to go. No, just go straight home. Don't go to any bars and that.
No, I want to stay in Slag Reform off.
Anyway, we got to go. He might be back. We never know. But Ellie's going to stay. We'll be back. It's Andre and Ash at Andre JP Walker at Virtual Ash back after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is the press preview, but before we get properly into it, I just want to explain the violation that took place earlier. You know about this, don't you?
I did see
downstairs in the green room, there's an ice machine, and when I went to get my first can of Palestine Cola, which is actually very nice, first can, I went to put some ice in. Ellie, what do you think I found in the ice machine in Talk?
I don't know.
A hernia belt.
You put ice cubes in. That wasn't from there with the ice cubes.
No, I had to throw all the ice away.
But you put a couple in there, glasses.
No.
Where are they from?
No, downstairs, that ice machine where people take the ice out and put it in their food and drink. Right.
What is a hernia belt?
Well, I don't know whether it was a hernia belt, but it was one of these things that you freeze.
It was like a jockstrap.
And put under your clothing.
Yeah.
And it stank of sweat. Right. So I removed it.
Was it a corset?
Yeah,
was it a male corset?
It looks like a corset, but it's frozen. So I took it out. Obviously, I took all the ice out as well and disinfected the thing myself. But what person? But you know what? I've got a theory on this. That the person doing it might not be the filth beast that I originally thought they were. Because I bet you that in football clubs, those ice machines are not used for drinks. They're literally used by the medic. So I bet you it's somebody from Talk Sport who saw the ice machine and went, that's the medical ice machine.
They're not that thoughtful. No, they don't think like that.
Right, isn't it right next to like the coffee machine as well?
Oh, Anne Widdicombe was in earlier.
Well, she wouldn't need it for the back, would she? It'd be more the front. Yeah. But anyway.
Anyway, the son, Prince Edward. Yes, Duke raked in 130 grand a year, subletting Royal Stable Block. Prince Edward and Sophie are raked in up to 130 grand a year, subletting converted stables on a £30 million estate where they pay only a peppercorn rent. Stables next to the 120-room and main house leased from the Crown Estate at Bagshot Park, Surrey, have been let out with profits going to the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh rather than taxpayers. A former minister called it outrageous. But I mean, King Charles, if you die intestate, like without any people to claim your will in Greater Manchester area, it goes to King Charles' personal account. It's meant to be spent on royal buildings, but royal buildings can be Prince Charles, office blocks, rental houses, and that saves him having to fix the roof. So they're all at it.
I think the royal family have bigger problems than
do you want me to tell you the most geeky fact about this bloke? Prince Edward.
Sure.
His son is going to inherit from his dad. Right. This is the first time it's ever happened.
What?
Right. So, if you get a peerage, it's normally hereditary.
Yeah.
Right. So, the Dukedom of Edinburgh is a hereditary peerage, but it's been put in the letters patent that it's only going to him. So his son James Windsor will not inherit the title Duke of Edinburgh. Right. If your dad has more than one peerage and you're the eldest son, you can use the second peerage. But you call yourself James Earl Wessex. So when the Duke of Edinburgh dies, James Earl Wessex will inherit the title Earl of Wessex, right? But and so he will no longer use it as a courtesy title. Yeah. So he will go from being Earl Wessex to the Earl Wessex. And that's what it will inherit.
It does sound better.
Yeah, the sounds
so
better,
much
right?
better.
I mean, the Duke of York, when he had streets named after him, there's 4 streets in London. One's called Duke Street, so one's called Of Street, and then the Duke, and it's all like every single word, and there's the street in St James.
I mean, it's a bit odd to inherit the title the from your dad, but nonetheless,
it does sound cool though. Imagine being called the.
Well, it's like Michael Ancram. His real name's Michael Kerr, but he was Earl of Ancram, and then the Marquess of Londonderry, Marquess of. I don't know, whatever it was.
He had a brother Juan, didn't he? UK facing new tax hikes over worst energy shock in history. Economists warn Britain may need tax rises to cope with the impact of war. You see that. She would have had to raise taxes, Rachel Thieves, but now she's got the excuse, it's not my fault, the oil's gone up. Of course, she's the one that's led us down this road. We're now paying 400 billion on welfare, which is less than what we rake in taxes, in income tax. So we're actually getting less than the welfare bill. And on top of that, we've got to pay for hospitals, the army. We've got our debt is now £150 million a year. That's going to go up. That's just the interest which we're having to pay. We're actually finished. 16% of young people are unemployed. A lot of them don't want to go to work. What do you think of that, Ellie?
I think it's absolutely shocking, and I think that the whole thing about people not going to work, especially young people.
Have you got friends who just don't work?
A lot of it is a culture thing. Yeah. It's about the fact that we're no longer rewarding hard work and
you can't buy a house and stuff like that.
And because of the way that school and university is, it kind of puts you in a bubble, a safe bubble where you can never fail and nothing can ever go wrong. And that's the problem, because then when you go out in the real world and you realise actually sometimes things don't go your way all the time.
Mollycoddled.
And you have to keep persisting at things, and eventually you will get...
It's not the parents, isn't it? Our age has messed up their kids.
Yeah, I just think that we need to bring back the...
Death penalty.
Cane. There's no capital punishment at schools anymore.
We need to have pride in hard work again.
I agree with that, but there needs to be some benefit.
There needs to be a reward for it.
Now I want to ask you a quiz question. Okay. The government of Sweden has estimated what it's going to cost for them to have 102,000 Somalians who've come to the country. So 102,000 Somalians have come to Sweden. What's it going to cost the Swedish taxpayer over the next 50 years to accommodate these people?
How much?
About $500,000 each.
117.3 billion euros.
Yeah.
Oh my!
Well, it's under 1,000.
Wow.
Well, do you remember here they said if someone who doesn't, it will cost £1 million over their whole lifetime if they live till 80. You know, when they've moved in.
Because they'll never work.
It's an expensive business. Yeah, a lot of them will never work because they're on the well, which is why we're in such a problem.
This is when the thing is, my big thing is, with parties like Restore, for example, and they're just always talking about mass deportations. And whilst that is important, one of the main things that you can do in order to get people to leave the country that aren't that shouldn't be here, or they're on benefits, is by putting away the incentive. Just
yeah, exactly.
Like getting rid of the
Why
benefits.
wouldn't you come here?
Getting rid of the benefits that people are allowed to live on. And people will leave once they realise they can't just live on the state.
You can either have, and I've said this before, and I know which one I'd rather, you can either have a national health service or you can have uncontrolled immigration. You can't have both, realistically. If you are going to allow anybody to have as much medical treatment as they want, then opening up the floodgates to anyone in the world to come in.
Yeah.
My argument is, if you are like the Greens and you support uncontrolled immigration, we should abolish the NHS. And that would be a step forward, because then, you know, most of the world doesn't have free healthcare. You can't have uncontrolled immigration if you do that.
It's another incentive for people to come here.
Exactly.
You'd be crazy not to come here, really. You know what I mean? And on this sort of story, Britain offers 45,000 Brexit visas a year to under 30s from Europe, and you can bet a lot of them won't be actual Europeans, will they? Just people that have just... I mean, 500,000 in Spain have just been allowed in. So these are the people that will come here. The Europeans, the actual original, they don't want to come here because it's, you know, it's better where they are now.
We're going to end up in a situation, though, aren't we, where there's going to be countries that are going to restrict the access of United Kingdom citizens because they're concerned about Islamic terrorism. I think the United Arab Emirates might be the first one that puts a block on the United Kingdom because of concerns about Islamic terrorism. They've already banned their students effectively, and they don't respect British universities. Sorry, they don't accept British universities anymore.
No.
I think the United Arab Emirates, if there's going to be an Islamic country that puts a block on Britain because of fears of Islamic terrorism, it'll be the UAE.
Yeah, that's very true, actually. Yeah.
And I don't think it's that far off.
The FT weekend borrowing costs soared to 18-year high. A lot of banks have just got rid of their fixed-term mortgages. The UK's borrowing costs soared to their highest level since 2008. That was the credit crunch yesterday, amid growing fears of an inflation shock as the economic costs of the Middle East war mounted. So interest rates won't be coming down, they'll be going up, if any. Well, they will be, no doubt, anyway, because costs are going to go up, because as oil goes up, everything else does.
Right, look, let's not continue with the press preview. We can do so after the break. Ellie, you're staying here, aren't you?
Yes.
Yes. Give the phone number out, and also I want to say to you, the people getting in touch are on Ellie Hodges' side, not George Gilbert's side, in terms of throwing George out of Reform UK. They feel that he's a liability because of the way he was so argumentative on the show.
Yeah.
I have to say, I wouldn't have thrown him out, although maybe you wouldn't have run him for council.
Airlines suffer $53 billion blow as industry faces its biggest crisis since pandemic. We'll be more with the press preview after the news, which is coming up. And Ellie Hodges, Andre's here. Look, he's just relaxing. He's relaxing, he's waiting for the news. He likes to relax in the news, but keep
Just
it taut.
wasn't listening.
We'll be going. Yeah, I was. Anyway, the news, the new news coming right up. We'll be back with Ellie after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, this is the press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, and Ellie Hughes. Ellie Hodges, rather. We haven't finished going through the papers, but there was an amazing exchange earlier between Kevin O'Sullivan and somebody who wants to discuss this prayer in Trafalgar Square. We're going to discuss the implications of what was said in a minute, but I think what we'll do first of all is why don't we watch and listen to the video?
Let's go to Saeed. Hello, Saeed.
Yeah, hello. Hi there. Yeah, I had called about Nick Timothy.
Nick Timothy,
and
yes.
his very unpleasant and comments around the iftar at Trafalgar Square, which he portrayed as an act of domination and division. I think that's really, highlight Islamophobia. I think he is deliberately.
But Saeed, I understand what you're saying, but don't you think we should debate it? I do think Nick Timothy, the Shadow Justice Secretary, highlighted a source of concern among many British people. Rightly or wrongly, they fear a process of Islamification. We have schools all over the country today closed for Eid. Yes. This is not a Muslim country; it's a Christian country. We have 30,000 Muslims praying in a park in Birmingham today. People are disconcerted by this, Saeed.
No. I think they're not.
Don't say no. They are disconcerted by it.
Just hear me out, please. I mean, there are certain politicians who've been banging this drum and portraying these acts as hostile and trying to make.
Why can't any women go?
Well, women can go.
Well, they weren't. They were all blokes. They were all blokes in Trafalgar Square.
No, I don't think that is right.
That is true. 3,000 men. 30,000 men in Birmingham. Why can't women go?
I was not at this iftar, but every iftar I've attended is full of people of all faiths and people and women.
Full of people of all faiths?
Yes, of course.
Well, so it wasn't just Muslims on prayer mats in Trafalgar Square. Okay. Christians, Hindus, all at it, were they?
What happens is...
That's not true, is it?
So iftar is the end of the
I know what it is. We all know what it is.
Yeah, no, you don't. Clearly you don't. That's why you're being so illiterate. So let me school you on this.
Oh, thank you very much. You're going to phone my show and call me illiterate?
Yes, because I think that you're doing...
All right, well, look, Saeed, thanks very much, but I don't really like to be called illiterate.
You are on this case.
Why?
Look, because you are talking about a religion in a very negative manner.
Well, that's not illiterate, is it? That's not illiterate.
Yes. No.
I don't like the fact no women are allowed. Is that okay with you?
No, women are allowed.
Well, they weren't in the Trafalgar Square. They were all men. They were all men.
No, you don't.
Well, it's true.
Check the record. No, it is not true. Okay. Women are welcome at the iftars. Look, after the iftar, people go and do a prayer, which is after the iftar.
Why didn't they do it in mosques?
Because it's a large gathering and it's...
You've got big mosques. You've got massive mosques in London. All over the country you've got massive mosques. There are massive mosques in Birmingham. Why are they all in a park?
But Hindus and Sikhs and others have had Trafalgar Square events.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. And Christians. I couldn't agree with you more. Absolutely. I accept that.
So why do you have a problem?
So you think it's just... You think that... the verbal attacks on what happened the other night are due to Islamophobia?
Sorry, which verbal attacks?
Well, the verbal attacks, from the likes of Nick Timothy and indeed Nigel Farage.
Yes. I think it is. And these are politicians who are applying this sort of message that somehow Muslims are to be treated in a suspicious manner. They must be up to something.
Well, the Muslim faith does want to take over the world, doesn't it?
Look, I mean, every faith has Islam is a
campaigning religion, isn't it?
Right. So is Christianity. So what
is it? Is it?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes, of course.
Christianity wants to take over the world. Christianity, yeah. Huh?
Right. So missionaries go around converting people around the world. Is that going to be? Should we treat that as suspicious as well?
Yeah, probably.
No, but look, guys, if people want to convert to a faith, let them. It's not any of our business. right? So just because...
But a lot of people would say, Saeed, that it's our business that Trafalgar Square in the middle of London is taken over by a faith that is not the official faith of this country.
So why didn't you say this when the Hindus took it over around Diwali, or when the Sikhs took it over?
You're absolutely right there. Yeah,
I'm pointing out a sheer hypocrisy in our political climate, right? That only Muslims are attacked. And that's why I'm saying it's Islamophobic. Right, because there is a particular agenda, and Nick Timothy is a particularly notorious person because he was.
He is not a notorious person.
No, hear me out. Look,
he's not a notorious person, Saeed.
No.
He's making a perfectly reasonable point. Don't you think we need to talk about this?
No.
We don't need to talk about this. You want to suppress all discussion.
No. If he has said something, I would like to have the right to criticize.
You do have the right to criticize, and you're very welcome to do that.
No, exactly. And I would also like to point out that this was the man behind the Windrush scandal, where he went around and.
I don't want you on this show slinging mud about someone that you don't know. All right. And here's another tip for you, Saeed. I absolutely respect what you're saying, but don't come onto my show ever again and call me illiterate. Have you got that?
No, mate.
Have you got that? Now go away. Thank you. Saeed there from London.
Right, yes. And, well, I think there is a difference between, Hindus and Sikhs in that they're not having, family voting. They're not. Some Islamists will say we're coming to take over through democracy, through having more children. Other faiths aren't doing that, and I think that is where the problem stems from, Ellie. What do you think?
Well, I do
There is a difference, isn't there?
Yeah, well, I agree with the point that the caller made about the fact that, Sikhs, Hindus and Jews will use that area as well to celebrate.
But it's not a valid argument in that Islamists, there's no people from the Hindu religion, the Jews, saying we want to take over, we're going to do family voting, we will do it by having people born and we will take over.
I mean,
they're not all, but there are people who do that.
But by extension, Asher, what you're saying is there should be a separate set of rules for the Muslim faith that don't apply to others.
No, I think all others, apart from Christianity, this is a Christian country, and I think we shouldn't. I don't think there should be I don't mind people going and maybe celebrating something, but I don't think there should be religious ceremonies apart from Church of England.
Yeah, well, I think that's a completely valid argument to make, but it is quite frustrating when some people are just inconsistent in what they believe in. And I do understand why this does make some people really angry, because there is issues with the Islamic faith.
But Ellie, the one thing that is different, and Asher, I think, essentially conveyed an idea but wasn't specific. The announcement was there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. That was the message that was brought. Now, we have never broadcast Buddha is the only God and whatever is his messenger. We've never said that before. We've never even said you should worship only Jesus in Trafalgar Square. There has been, now I appreciate it's in the Quran, but that's not my fault.
Yeah,
I think for thousands of people to make the Islamic call to prayer and say there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger, I think that particular thing is offensive to people. It's not offensive to Muslims because they hear that all the time, and perhaps they don't register in their mind that may shock and offend people. But it is an evangelical religion, and it is, if in reality it is the requirement of every Muslim to persuade other people to become Muslims.
Well, they are going to say that, as you said, because it's in the Quran, so that's what they're going to say.
Yeah, but his point was that other religions do that, and they don't. Christianity used to do that, maybe, in hundreds of years ago, but other religions don't want to take over the world. It's not part of their thing, is it? Whereas it's not.
Well, I mean, but I do think, if you look at people like Layla Cunningham, for example.
Well, she probably wouldn't approve. I don't know, but I mean, do you think she'd approve of this?
I just don't think that we should tarnish everything.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's not.
There's a Siddiq Khanisation of politics, where what you do is you say these are the Muslims, they do this. These are the Christians, they do that.
Yeah,
these are the working class white people. They're all racist thugs who love Tommy Robinson. Only one of those contentions is true. But anyway, and it's not the thug bit. But it is not true to say that every Muslim supports this sort of thing. But it is a show of force, is it not? I mean, what is it, that Indian ceremony where they rub paint all over each other? I'll live with that. But when you are saying, you know, there is a requirement to worship Allah, He is the only God, Muhammad is His messenger, and you're saying it during Lent in a Christian country.
Facing a church, actually facing.
Well, they're going to say that because it's in the Quran, and that's why they're saying it.
I mean, I will say one thing about facing a church. Churches face east as well.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's slightly unfair.
Right in front of the
slightly
church.
unfair. Yeah, it was effectively on the steps.
The thing is, my big thing on this is consistency, and if you're, I know you're saying it's different because of what they're saying, whether
what they're doing. I mean, look at the family voting, which is basically voter fraud.
Not every single Muslim.
No,
I know, but I mean, you do look at some things, and you know, they did a survey. Was it the Henry Jackson Society, and said 80%. I'm not sure. We'll have to look it up, but a lot of young Muslims think homosexuality should be illegal.
Like 1 in 4 young Muslims believe that what happened on October 7th was the right thing to do.
Yes.
So
you know, it's not a small minority.
No, there's genuine issues with extreme
there was 20%. I think 20% of British people support the World Trade Center attack, and there are 20% of British Muslims, and there are 3.5 million Muslims. Someone would assume that's 700,000.
I actually saw a video earlier, and it was an American just saying that if 9/11 happened today, people would be on the street celebrating it.
Yeah, they would, yeah.
Well, especially in New York, which now, unbelievably, has Mamdani and his wife liked comments about October the 7th, praising Hamas.
If the September the 11th happened today, there would be celebratory protests outside the American Embassy in London. There is no doubt. Palestine solidarity, all of these, Al-Muhajirun, I know they officially don't exist, but let's be honest, right? The Islamic Society of the universities, there would be a big protest. In fact, actually, they would do to the American Embassy what they did to the Israeli Embassy, which is they'd be protesting even before the attack finished.
They'd have a party.
Yeah. I think what we do need to see more of, and I think that's what Layla Cunningham and Zia Youssef are doing quite well, is saying that we're Muslims,
yes,
and we're calling this out. We're saying this is not okay. We're saying that
we haven't heard that. I haven't heard that.
They have been saying that. I mean, there is a genuine issue with radical Islam, and they're the kind of people that need to be saying it.
But Ellie, we scythe down Muslims that are interested in defending the moderate side. You're not going to appear on Sky News if you think Israel's doing the right thing and you're Pakistani. There's just no chance. They wouldn't touch you in the barge pole. The BBC would drag you by the hair out of Question Time if you attempted to put your hand up saying you thought Donald Trump was right to liberate Iran. I mean, you wouldn't make it out alive from daily politics. You know, it's just and so. If I was a Muslim, I would sit there and I would say, well, hang on a second. You go on and on and on about moderate Islam. You give it no support whatsoever. And I'll tell you one thing that was the most egregious betrayal of Muslims in this country. The BBC, the police, the British government, social services cannot cite one single example of an imam or a mosque telling the police to allow grooming gangs to continue. They cannot find one example. They've taken to the media to say, we allowed this to happen because we're concerned about community relations. There is simply, and the police should be particularly ashamed, there's simply no evidence that's true. No evidence that's true.
That's a really, really important point to make, and I think that actually reveals how in many of these communities you quite literally cannot speak out, because they are a community where if you do speak out, you're going to be completely isolated. God knows what else will happen to you. So, but I think that we do need to respect.
I was at my mate Asgar's, and he said when the fundamentalists came down to Maidenhead Mosque, he said I just thumped him and threw him out. But see, he is a respected man because he's been the mayor of the town. Probably not. Let's just pretend he didn't do that literally. But it probably was figurative. But the reality is, family voting. I mean, the people who are forcing their daughters to vote in a certain way aren't telling them to vote for moderates, right? They're telling them to vote for the Greens.
Well, look at the teacher in Batley. He's still in hiding because of this disgraceful government and the last lot not protecting him. His life's in danger. There's definitely a problem. This wouldn't happen, with other religions, would it?
I think it can all be stopped, though. It can be stopped if a government comes in that decides that they're going to be harsh on this kind of thing.
But what happens then with the people, and there are people watching and listening to this who've given up, who Layla Cunningham and Zia Youssef are never going to persuade? That is, because you know there is a large number of people who've gone, oh my God, this lot are all out of control. They're all liars. They're all extremists. I mean, it's clearly not true. I mean, Zia Youssef is to Islamism what chocolate is to 9/11 World Trade Center attack.
Yeah, I do think that there are still moderate Muslims, and I know people are going to come at me for saying that, because then we say there's no such thing as a moderate Muslim.
Well, no, there are.
But I do think there is, and I think it's up to them to call out.
But
what's
they haven't.
going
I mean,
on.
that hasn't happened. I mean.
I know.
I mean, give us a ring if you know. Yeah, let's see.
I mean, I just wonder. I was in Marrakesh recently.
Yeah.
And I just wonder. Oh, have you seen that La Mamenia? That place that Anna Delvey went to. My God, I thought that place was a rip-off until I went there. I mean, they did everything for me. It was crazy. It was crazy. But if I went to Morocco now, and I attempted to have a Lent prayer session in the Medina in the centre of Marrakesh, I just wonder how well that'd go down.
Yeah. No, it wouldn't.
It wouldn't go down very well, would it?
Yeah, I mean, even like
there's only one way to find out.
The streets in Marrakesh, I wouldn't feel safe either, though. So it
wasn't that bad actually. And by the way, La Mamenia is just crazy. £1,000 a night.
But back to the whole moderate Muslim thing. The thing that annoys me about, I don't want to keep talking about Restore, but the thing that frustrates me with them is that I think it was Charlie Downs, or I can't remember who it was asked, would you let any Muslim be part of your party, stand or whatever it is, and they couldn't answer the question. I just think you can't just ban all Muslims.
I like Charlie Downs. He's all right.
I really like Charlie. I really like Charlie as
By the way, you know how we've got that boxing glove, punching bag thing in reception in Talk Sport?
Yeah.
Charlie Downs, whose hobby is cage fighting, did it. And you know how it's out of 1,000, he got 970. He just went,
I like
he is hard.
He must have been holding back.
He is hard.
I like Charlie, but I just do think that the fact that Restore can't.
Is your concern about purism?
Yeah.
That you're making the perfect the enemy of the good?
Oh yeah, I just think that we need to not tarnish everyone with the same brush. And I know that people are very frustrated. They're going to say, but what about this? But what about that? But I do think it's quite dangerous to do that, and I think that we're seeing more extreme politics, especially on X.
Before we go to the break, you've been to all of the Reform, or many of the Reform press conferences, and as I said to my dad, it's like a full-time job.
Yeah.
What's your impression of the party and its development? You know what? I'm just interested because you've seen so much of this. How long have you been going, and what's your impression?
Well, I've been going for quite a while now, and I've been kind of surrounded by the party, and I do think that they are improving very rapidly, and I do think that by bringing in people like Suella Braverman, for example, I think she's absolutely fantastic on the things she's doing on education. I think she's genuinely really good, and I think that what we've seen change very quickly is they're no longer a party that is just about immigration. They're talking about a very wide amount of issues, which is making them seem like they're more ready to govern, and I think that that's very true, and that's difference between Restore and Advance, other right-wing parties, is they are just talking about immigration, and you're not going to appeal to a wide set of voters if that's all you're talking about. So I do think they're professionalising the party, but I do think they've still got a way to go.
By the way, your microphone is falling down. No, don't touch it yet, because you'll just disturb us.
Okay.
I think you should fix it yourself during the break.
No, Stuart's insisting that he comes and fixes it,
No.
The unions will get involved. Anyway, 0344 499 1000. It's Andre Nash with Eddie. Stuart, stay. Get away. Get out. We'll be back after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is the home of common sense. Stuart has fixed the microphone. No, I'm only joking. OK, this is still the press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Ellie Hodges. And I guess, Asher, what's your next story?
This is interesting from the Daily Telegraph. British lives at risk thanks to Starmer, Iran warns. Iran has accused Sir Keir Starmer of putting British lives at risk by allowing the USA to carry out strikes from the UK air bases. Abbas Araghchi, Iran's foreign minister, said the Prime Minister risked dragging Britain into the war after he agreed to let US forces carry out raids on Iranian missile sites from RAF Fairford and Diego Garcia. Ignoring his own people, Mr Starmer is putting British lives in danger by allowing UK bases to be used for aggression against Iran, he said in a statement on X. Iran will exercise its right to self-defence. Yvette Cooper, the Foreign Secretary, told their Iranian counterpart in a phone call earlier on Friday not to target UK bases, territory or interests, the Foreign Office said in the call. Mr Araghchi told Ms Cooper that allowing US forces to access British bases would be treated as participation in aggression against the Islamic Republic, despite allowing America to use British bases. Sir Keir Starmer continued to be criticised by Donald Trump on Friday, who said the decision was a very late response and he should have acted a lot faster. And he was saying, Starmer, the coward, he's saying, oh, we're only going to allow it for defensive reasons. I mean, he's got to show a bit more strength, hasn't he? I mean, he's really... It's embarrassing us. He's embarrassing his own country. Now the whole world he's embarrassing us in front of.
Yeah, no, I do think that he just needs to be consistent in what he believes in, and it was very interesting at PMQs this week.
Yeah.
He was absolutely appalling. The whole thing.
Well, the
was
Mandelson
ridiculous.
questions, we just avoided it.
But Kerry Badnott would ask a question, and he'd just say, "But your response on the Iran war was so
just
bad."
change it.
And
All
was
about
just
Mandelson. Did you speak to him about a very specific question, and then you just talk about something else?
And the speaker actually had to say at one point, This is Prime Minister's questions. This isn't opposition questions.
And that's the speaker who basically does what Starmer tells him.
I'll tell you what. Somebody asked me, when was the last genuine Conservative to be elected to speakership? You know, they say, well, we have one opposition, one government. So first of all, Betty Boothroyd, Labour. Remember when Labour got in 1997, they wanted a Labour speaker who was thick Mick, Michael Martin, complete moron. And then they brought in John Bercow, who was no longer a member of the Conservative Party, even though he was still a sitting Conservative MP. Then Lindsay Hoyle is Labour. The last Conservative to be elected to the office of Speaker was Bernard Weatherall in 1977.
Oh, my God.
1977. That's the way that people are dodgy about this. By the way, can I just talk to you about this? The IRA victims who've dropped their case against Gerry Adams. I find this whole thing despicable. Now, how do we say this without getting sued? Gerry Adams has never sued anyone who's alleged that he's been in the IRA. He says that he wouldn't get a fair trial if he attempted to do that. Therefore, what he's sued people for, or what he's defended against, is when people have made very specific allegations, like... he sued the BBC, who said that he was responsible for the death of Dennis Donaldson, and he won £100,000 in damages in the High Court in Ireland. Here's the thing that upsets me very greatly. The IRA have now committed to peace in Northern Ireland under the Good Friday Agreement. If Gerry Adams was convicted of any terrorist offences at all, then he would be immediately released under the Good Friday Agreement and wouldn't serve a day in prison. Isn't that, therefore, and I'll say this in a way that doesn't get me sued, if you were to have been a terrorist, if you were to have been somebody who ordered the killings of people, wouldn't this be a great opportunity to assist the families by owning up to it in the knowledge that you would never serve a day in prison? Now, I will say openly on this show, letting out the terrorists after the Good Friday Agreement, I think was the right thing to do. There's two caveats. Number one, your terror group cannot go back to violence. If that happens, all of you go back to prison, and you're not allowed to commit a further criminal offence, or you'll be returned to prison. The number of terrorists from the UVF or the IRA who've committed further offences is very low. They see themselves as soldiers. They don't go shoplifting at Lidl. My view is, I think it's time for Jerry to come a bit more clean about this. And my belief, and I might be wrong, is that, let's be honest, Sinn Féin and the IRA are basically the same Republican movement, and therefore one would assume that somebody who is in the leadership of Sinn Féin would be on the Army Council of the IRA. And I just think that, given that there has been an attempt at truth and reconciliation, I think this is Jerry's opportunity. I'll just say that. Now, bluntly, was I sat on the Army Council at the time? No, I don't know. I don't know whether he was in the IRA. I don't know what he was responsible for, what he wasn't responsible for. But I will say, I think it's a great shame. But the case has been dropped, of course, because of the other subtext of this, which is MI5 won't give away any of their signals intelligence, as usual, that may implicate or may not implicate Mr. Adams. There we have it.
Right, Home Office tries to block new security for Prince Harry. Telegraph again. Officials fear public outcry if Duke and Duchess of Sussex get taxpayer-funded protection. Home Office officials are trying to block the Duke and Duchess of Sussex from being given taxpayer-funded security over fears of a public backlash. The Royal and VIP Executive Committee, which authorises security for senior members of the family on behalf of the Home Office, is reassessing whether or not to reinstate security provision for Prince Harry and his wife. Civil servants from the Home Office, the Cabinet Office and Foreign Office who sit on the committee are understood to oppose granting the couple taxpayer-funded protection whenever they are in the UK because it would carry too much political risk. I mean, they will get it if they're on royal duties, but why should they? They've been they're out of the royal family. He's also put himself at risk by talking about killing 20-odd Taliban from his helicopter, which is an idiotic thing to do.
Although probably quite good fun.
They've made their bed, they better lie in it. What do you think, Ellie?
I just think the whole Harry and Meghan thing has just got really boring now. I mean,
that's right. I'm over it.
I'm just kind of over it. Just let them do what they want to do. She's become irrelevant
she's lost the
now.
Netflix?
She has become really irrelevant. And I mean, when you compare Meghan to Kate, they're just so different. I think I saw this video the other day, and it was Meghan saying, I'm the Duchess of Sussex now. You can't call me Meghan, to someone in her Netflix thing.
Oh, that thing, Sussex. It's Sussex.
And then they cut to a video of Kate, and she was very true. She's like, "Oh no, don't call me that. I'm just Kate." And I think that's very much the difference between them.
No, definitely, yeah.
I mean, she's pretty. I mean, I think the sad thing is about this, she has successfully persuaded the world that Britain hates her because she's black and it's a very racist country. She has. The reality is, I remember when she was marrying Prince Harry, every American channel that phoned me up said, "How do the British feel about having a black princess?" And do you know what? I don't think we'd even notice. Now, there is one thing that I would say, Ellie. Look, in the United States of America, if you're from an ethnic minority, you're almost certainly descendant of a slave, and therefore you're going to have had significant challenges to your entire family historically for hundreds of years, right? If you are from a descendant of a non-white person in Britain, you're probably just someone who's come over from the Caribbean in the 1950s, right? There isn't the same negative connotations, and therefore I can understand why she, who looks like a white person to me, thinks of herself as black in the American context. But that's just not the way we think of it in Britain. We think it purely in terms of colour. I mean, when she says that her son Archie is black and he's ginger and probably has to put on factor 40 when he goes to Caribbean, we find that laughable. Now, I can understand why, because of the historic disadvantages of slaves, you might see it differently. But to call a ginger black, I mean, that is really... We don't care. But she has persuaded the world that we really do.
I just don't think that we are a racist country.
No.
We're not.
It's made it worse, all this identity stuff, hasn't it?
It has. It really, really has. And I think that the whole thing about this identity politics and everything's racist. It's like Black History Month, for example. I can't remember who said it now. The name's gone from me. But he just said, so you're going to relegate my history to 1 month. It should just be history.
Yes.
And that's exactly how you should think about things. And I think the best way to stop racism a lot of the time is just to stop talking about it.
Well, DEI is racist. It's discrimination of race. It's the definition of discrimination. And we were all getting along fine in the 90s.
And I know, like a lot of like black people as well.
Was Morgan Freeman who said that?
I would hate to think that I got my job just because I was black. And I think that's how
Are you
I
black?
feel.
Just get this
I am
job.
not just
Just
a
I've seen that.
I identify.
But I've seen that before, where people go, "Do you identify as a black man?" And the bloke sat there like Pastor Mark Burns or something, going, "What do you mean? Do I identify as a black man?" It's utterly lewd. I think it's a shame. I was watching a program in America, and they said, "What happened to Prince Andrew? Oh, he's had to downsize." Well, the other one got a bigger punishment for marrying a black woman, and everyone laughed. And I thought, the reality is, her and Oprah have successfully persuaded the world that Britain is a vehemently racist country who would never accept a black princess. And the truth of the matter is, none of us cared. None of us cared.
Well, it was all made a big thing, wasn't it, when she came
But the whole world believes it.
And she's completely kind of took control over Harry as well. In the process
he's got
of
Stockholm
doing
syndrome,
that.
hasn't
I
he?
think actually in the Netflix documentary, I didn't actually watch it to be honest, but I did see loads of clips from it. And there's an interview where Meghan made fun of the fact that she curtsied to the Queen.
Oh, I saw
and
that,
Harry's face, you could tell he was so uncomfortable with that. And I could tell he probably was thinking, "Oh God, what have I got myself into?"
She was mocking
you could not mock that.
Yeah, didn't she curtsy off camera, whereas Beatrice did it on camera?
Maybe, I don't know.
No, she just made a big thing. She went
was
like that.
"Oh, I had to
and
do
then
this,"
laughed. And Harry was like, "Yeah, don't take the mick out."
Yeah, that's just a bit completely inappropriate.
It was basically
just rude.
It was mocking the institution.
I mean, I loved when she said to the Queen, "I'd be willing to move into Windsor Castle." I bet you would. I bet you would. Basically, she's sizing up the ballroom. I mean,
Not big enough. Yeah.
I mean, I loved that when they said she wanted a significant role in the Duke of Edinburgh. He hated her. He said the worst thing about her, at least Wallis Simpson kept her mouth shut. I mean, that was his sole comment on the woman.
The Daily Star, tragic Ricky had brain disease. This is Ricky Hatton, who was tragically found dead a while ago. Boxer Ricky Hatton may not have intended to take his own life. A coroner ruled it came as his inquest was told he had a brain illness. So that's
going to be a big question about boxing. Just to remind you, I'm in the new film about Michael Watson's recovery. I tell you what, I think it's going to be big on Talk Sport and on Talk. This film, I'm looking forward to it. The premiere's the 20th of September. You coming? No.
Tribute to movie star Chuck Norris has died. Great martial arts sort of American Bruce Lee. He was amazing, actually. Iran spies arrest at nuke base. Yeah, they caught a couple of people up in Scotland wandering around our submarine nuclear base. They tried to get in and then they got arrested. They were lingering around, so that's obviously very suspicious. But obviously that's being
I bet the police will list it as a mental health incident. 2 Iranians got into the nuclear base. It was a mental health incident. It was a mental health incident.
It's an accident.
Yeah, they had a knife. It was a mental health incident.
And the Daily Mirror, again, it's about Ricky Hatton, but this is a different loss of a working class hero. My Ricky's last hug almost broke my ribs. Ricky Hatton's mum told how the boxing legend hugged her so hard he almost broke her ribs the last time she saw him. Family members wept as a coroner ruled there was no evidence the former world champ 46 intended to take his own life in September. Mum Carol left. Oh, well, you can't see that. Said they spoke about him returning to the ring before he died, but added his eyes were sad. So I don't know. We don't know what happened. It was all a
well,
tragedy,
as I say, if it turns out to be a brain injury, there's going to be more calls for.
Well, there's no
head
doubt
guards.
there are brain injuries. You know, it's whether you got head guards or not. I mean, it's a very dangerous sport. I mean, you did the film about Michael Watson. He's never fully recovered, and of course there was the Ben McClellan fight. McClellan, terrible what happened to him as well. You know, Barry McGuigan killed a man in the ring. It happens very regularly. It's a very dangerous sport.
It's crazy how that sport is still going.
But I mean,
thinking about the fact that we live in such a world where people are quite sensitive to that kind of thing.
But it gets people, you know, like people like Mike Tyson. He was, you know, he would have ended up with. Well, he didn't end up that good anyway, but he ended up in prison. But he probably would have been dead without boxing. It's brought a lot of people out, made a lot of people a lot of money, and given them a good life. So you know, it's their choice, and you could say it about any sport: Formula One, rugby, any sport.
But it was remarkable.
Dangerous.
Even so in the film that I'm in. Frank Bruno is in it, and he's a really lovely bloke. Really lovely bloke. I spent a small amount of time with him, but you know he doesn't pretend to be an actor. But even a relatively short amount of script for him to memorise. He wasn't capable of memorising because of the short-term memory problems.
Wow.
My uncle...
I think he probably would have had that before the boxing.
My uncle held the Lonsdale belt in the junior welterweight division. He got it the first time it was contested in 1967, I think it was, and he was no good towards the end.
Well, look at the best boxer ever. Well, probably Muhammad Ali, and look what happened to him. Parkinson's disease. Some say it was caused by a constant battering. Of course, he did the rope-a-dope technique, where he'd just get punched for 20 minutes to wear them out, and then go batter them. But of course, that has a massive effect.
Well, it's funny. The boss of this channel, Denny Morris, is well into boxing, and he looked at my uncle's record. And the problem is, in those days, they didn't do 15 fights. They did 80. Right,
yeah.
And my uncle, after he was a champion, he started boxing just up and coming people who he said they knew they could beat him, but he would say, "Oh, we beat a former champion." So he just got his head kicked in for about 15 years.
Well, yeah, I mean, they used to have unlimited rounds, didn't they, in the old days? Which, at least you found out who the proper winner was. Anyway, Ellie, thank you for... Because you never know, do you? Ellie, thanks for coming in. You're going home now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going home.
That's brilliant. What you got coming up in this week? What's happening?
Not sure yet, actually.
You're not sure,
no.
Right? Excellent. But well, we'll see you next time.
Date with George Gilbert. I don't think so.
Yes, sparks are flying. Yeah, he's got. Yeah, I won't say that.
Do not make that.
0344 499 1000. Give us a ring. We're going through the papers and we're going through all your calls, taking your calls, and also there'll be a bit of mystery, won't there, later when we get in our mystery department, which is basically Joe and Matt.
No, we love Joe and Matt. Has Matt been to the pub tonight?
Yeah.
Because he has been, at best, below average the past 2 weeks.
It'll be better when he's got a few down him. We'll be back after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, this is the segment where we do the real X-Files, where we go through the mysterious, the unexplained, the weird, the wonderful, UFOs, ghosts, poltergeists, any of that. And we've got with us Joe Stock and Matt Thornton, who are the UF Bros. Now, do we have any...
Little and large.
Do we have any music to go on this? Or do we have any...
No, don't play the X-Files.
Okay, this is the real X-Files. Yeah. Here we go. Right.
So get together, close together, get together.
Okay, they look strange together on camera.
Yeah,
they look
that's
strange.
all part of the mystery. So what have you been looking into this week in your massive research department and team?
Skinwalker Ranch in Utah, United States.
What's a Skinwalker?
Well, firstly, before we jump right into that, we got to acknowledge that it's also Alien Abduction Day today.
Is it?
Yes.
What?
We've got a few more hours left.
Why is it that?
A few more minutes.
Is this a day when there's a lot of abductions? Is it?
Yeah, well, I don't know what they've
It's
picked
just
today,
international. It's like international.
Is it like Day of the Sandwich?
Women's Day
it's
or
like that,
Football Day or whatever?
Yeah, I prefer Day of the Sandwich than Women's Day. But
So yeah, because it's all been let out. You know, Obama with his loose lips actually broke. He broke the law by.
He got in
literally.
trouble for that. Trump said he couldn't.
Trump said he's going to release it to save.
And we have a development on that story.
Yes.
Because this week we found out that the US government have bought the domain names for aliens.gov and alien.gov.
To release the files that they're going to release.
So they have secured a website name involving aliens.
Well, because what Obama said, he goes, there's aliens, and he says, but it's not Area 51. So that was...
but aliens could be illegal migrants.
It could be, but he said he's releasing the files and... You know,
well, it's just a matter of interest as the UF bros, and I'll go to each of you in turn. I know this is a difficult question, a really difficult question, but what are you expecting to be in the files?
Well, personally, I think we probably agree on this. If it pans out as is expected, I think it will be a very soft launch disclosure. I suspect Trump will come out and say what we're looking at is saying to us that there is something going on that we can't explain. He may even say it's a non-human intelligence, but it's going to take decades, years, whatever, until we can find out what this is concrete.
And when he says what we found, is what we found, and I know you've been through this before, but just so I'm clear in my mind, is that the broadcast from other planets? Is it something coming out of the sea?
We've seen the military footage. We've seen that already.
Recovered materials. Some
they call
biologics,
craft.
And some perhaps biological specimens as well.
And what are you expecting in the files, Matt?
Well, similar to what Joe was saying, but I'm also more interested in what will this do for other countries? Because I mean, surely Russia will have a huge amount of stuff. Will this force them to do some disclosure as well? China, presumably.
Well, there was an article.
And what are we expecting from Britain? Do we know anything? I mean, are we just completely...
Well, we had the Rendlesham Forest. We do know. And Margaret Thatcher said to Georgina Bruni, who wrote the book, You Can't Tell the People, she looked up at Georgina Bruni at a dinner party when she spoke, and she said, tell us about the aliens. She was saying she's writing a book, and Thatcher looked up and said, you can't tell the people. You do it. You can't
tell the people.
You see, and that's what she said. So we've had Rendlesham Forest. It was an American air base. It's all what happened here. Don't worry about that.
It's in the zeitgeist here.
Will disclosure over there force it everywhere else?
Well, it would do, wouldn't it?
Exactly.
Well, it was an American air base, wasn't it? But they might not release that data.
Because what will happen in the UK is we've brought back this humble address, haven't we? Which is... where you force the government to disclose papers to the House of Commons, and it's been used for Jeffrey Epstein, but there's no doubt somebody will put a humble address before Parliament.
Well, about 10 years ago, I think something like that did happen, where they were forced to declassify all of the files that the British government had on UFOs. But they did declassify them, but it was quite obvious that the majority of the files were not in that declassification.
But Joe, do they know what they're talking about?
Who?
Who? Okay, that's a good question. Let's say NASA, the American government, the Department of Defense. Let's talk about America first. Do they know what they're talking about?
I would suspect that this situation, if it is true, is not being handled by those bodies that you've mentioned.
There'll be a body that we don't know the name of.
Yes, and I've heard things about potentially private companies being given this stuff to deal with. For example, Lockheed Martin.
So what you're saying, Matt, is that
he's not saying anything.
I mean, in the same way as there used to be MI1, MI2, MI3, MI4, there are all of these government departments dealing with this, but we don't know what they're called.
Well, we know that there's hundreds and hundreds of government departments, and that there's oftentimes very little communication between them.
Right.
So any one of them could be doing anything with any of this stuff, and
well, we used to have Nick Pope on, who was he always said he was the single bloke. He was the only man who did the UFO. He was the Mulder and Scully of Britain. He basically, he would never say, because he's obviously official secrets out, but he basically, we used to get him drunk every time he came in, and his loose lips would reveal something each time. Look at chapter 13, Operation Thunderchild. If you don't believe me, that's one of his books. He writes a lot of books. He knows what's going on. He was the head of the British UFO investigation. He's not well at the moment, so we're going to try and get him on.
When you say biological material, when you say craft, Where have they come from? I know I've asked you this loads of times.
Yeah, but this is what they're all very secretive about. What they're saying, they're alluding to things. People come forward like David Grush and people that have supposedly worked on these programs. Bob Lazar, yeah. But one of the things that Bob Lazar said that is relevant to what you were just saying is that apparently it's so compartmentalised. Like his job was to look into one aspect of the way
they keep them away.
Worked. Nothing to do with anything else, and they couldn't communicate with each other. So you could be. It's like there could be people involved in this that don't even know what they're working on. If that makes sense.
Could it be us time travelling?
It could be. It could.
And that's why they're in the sea.
So apparently, there's a school of thought apparently within the American elite of people that considered this, and and also it's not that crazy. Prince Philip had a massive obsession about this subject.
It's not that crazy. I mean,
on UFOs. Hillary Clinton as well has been seen.
Bill Clinton. He said the first thing he was going to do was find aliens.
If general relativity is true, and you can bend time using forces like gravity, then you could potentially fold time over.
Yes.
Now, I can't conceptualise in my mind.
Wormholes.
I can't conceptualise in my mind how you would fold time over or bend it backwards.
No.
But if you can bend it at all, one would assume you can bend it backwards and shape it, fold it, crease it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, people sat at home and going, sorry, when you say fold time over, what the hell are you talking about? But
you get the time.
But if you can bend it, you can fold it.
Yes, and there's
and that would make time travel entirely possible.
Yeah, because the reason we're saying about time travel is obviously space is so large. Why are these things hovering around us? Why they take an interest in nuclear weapons? Or maybe it's a version of us from the far future that has come back.
Well, there was one story, wasn't there? I think it was the one of the big American ships, I think USS Roosevelt, and they had a craft come over. There's a lot of San Diego activity, and basically it shut down the craft. This big airplane carrier, it couldn't do anything. So, there is stuff. But, I mean, if you think about it, there's these all lost tribes like that. They've never been discovered in the Amazon basin. So there could be other humans just sort of got much more advanced than us and then went away and they're watching us and we don't know about them.
I think I've made this point before. If you look at the dinosaurs, because of the way that the Earth sinks towards the Earth's crust and is destroyed over time by its mantle, and then more of the mantle spews out through volcanoes and things like that. That's why, obviously, historical buildings are underground, right? That's the reason for that. They say that of the dinosaurs that ever existed, sort of half of 0.1% are ever going to be found. And
they became birds, didn't they? The birds are the dinosaurs.
Sure, but that's not relevant particularly to this point. But if there was to be a very, very sophisticated civilization that existed on this planet, say 50 million years ago, there would be no trace of it whatsoever. We would have no way of knowing.
Humans have been around about 300,000 years, and we look at ancient history of 5,000 years ago. We have no idea about humans, and they were just as intelligent as us 200,000 years ago.
Yeah, well, anyway, if you think about it, 300,000 years ago, what are you talking about? Moses being, I mean, not
7,000 BC.
No,
he's only about 4,000.
He wasn't even in the Stone Age.
Yeah, exactly.
He was in the Iron Age.
And when you look in London and in Israel, it's the same. Just 1,000 years ago, it's 20 foot underground. So 100,000, 200,000 years ago, we're not even going to see it. Anyway, more mystery after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, this is the Real X-Files with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, Joe Stock and Matt Thornton. And they're going to tell us a little bit about Skinwalker Farm.
Skinwalker Ranch.
Skinwalker Ranch.
The reason why I bring it up, there is actually a link to the story that's going on, because we had that report that there was going to be a speech given by Trump on the anniversary of Roswell. And the guy that came out with this said he had a source that was working inside the White House, and he revealed that this source is allegedly a man called Robert Bigelow, who's a billionaire in America, is quite a well-known guy, and he's got an interest in UFOs, and he's funded lots of programs, and it was in the 90s, he bought Skinwalker Ranch to research the strange happenings that go on there.
What is a skinwalker?
Well, a skinwalker is a term for like a Native American shapeshifter. It's like a witch that would transform itself into a wolf. But that name was given to that ranch.
Like, she'd start off quite hot, but when you married her, she'd turn
sort of more demonic.
Like that, yes.
But there was a family that lived on the ranch, and you know, they saw orbs, they saw flashing lights in the sky, they saw large creatures with big red eyes walking across their ranch.
Yeah, but we've all had a night out like that.
In Soho at 3 in the morning.
What's interesting about the Skinwalker Ranch is that you have all of the different types of paranormal activity converging on one place. So you've got the UFOs in the sky, you've got the strange cryptid creatures walking around outside, and then you've got cattle mutilations, which is very bizarre, and then also you've got the poltergeists inside the house. So,
and they're in the same. Is it like to do with ley lines and all?
I don't know. That's what they were trying to research.
I thought a ley line was when you slept with somebody.
Not that kind of ley line.
It probably does happen.
I thought that was what a ley line was.
So what have we got to worry about? I mean, we've got them in this country. You saw a skinwalker, didn't you?
No, it wasn't. She was just an unattractive female we picked up on the road.
Well,
no, actually, that sounds bad. That sounds bad.
Not quite the same thing. But no, we have similar phenomena. We have all the phenomena, not so much concentrated around one site, but we do actually have a big problem with cattle mutilation, which happens.
I know there's been horse slashings, which is terrible.
Yeah, but this is a specific MO of the way the animal was found, where it's had the skin removed around the eye, the udders and sex organ, and then this thing called rectal coring, where the whole backside has just been pulled out. It all happens very quickly, and there's no blood on at the scene of the event. So
what you're saying is it feels more surgical and medical.
Yes, that is the point of it.
But then again, when they discovered. Well, and we now know that Aaron Kosminski was probably Jack the Ripper, but we do know that it's highly unlikely that Jack the Ripper was a genuine medic and still was able to have some anatomical knowledge.
Well, it's funny because actually a vet was looking into this, and she said actually the wounds on these animals, it's less like a sharp knife and more like a laser.
Right.
That's
they were. Martians would have lasers, wouldn't they?
Of the wound. It's very odd.
But we do have lasers now that would cut things, don't we?
We do.
Why would you do that to a cow in a field?
I mean, abusing a cow more generally sounds a bit odd to me.
But well, that's the thing. But also, it's like, okay, we'll take the extraterrestrial. There's a correlation with UFO sightings. They get a UFO sighting. This happens to a cow. But also, you know, if it's people doing it, that is also horrifying.
You think it's people of the future, don't you? Because by the way, always remember, it could be that people in the future have never seen a cow.
It is possible,
right? Because what we assume is things will be constant. So, as an example, you will always be able to get dodo feathers. Oh no, you won't. They've now become extinct. Yeah. It may well be that, you know, the reason they're experimenting on the Earth is because in their reality, the Earth was destroyed by a nuclear war between Iran and Israel.
And it makes sense as why UFOs hover around nuclear weapons sites and supposedly have the power to interact with the technology. They've had cases where all of their systems have powered down as the UFO has flown over, and then also powered up. So it's very concerning.
But just because you haven't seen a cow doesn't mean you'd give it a rectal reboring.
But they also do that to humans.
Yes, so there are actually a few human mutilation cases where they.
Oh no! I've heard about that. It's probably just an excuse.
No. We've all heard that excuse. It wasn't me, Mum. It was the aliens. No.
They probed me, Mum.
Ectoplasm.
I've been probed.
Not like that.
So anyway, Frank, we've learnt a lot, haven't we? In there?
Can I tell you something? Can I tell you something? I started fairly sceptical. I think I'm with you now. I think that you're right. I think there is something. I think there are plenty of sensible explanations, and little green men flying from Mars is not a sensible explanation. But whether it be demons, whether it be people in the future, whether it be advanced humans who keep out of our way because they're so advanced, it could be all sorts.
Yeah. I mean, give us a ring, because we've had callers before who've had these experiences. If you're listening and you've had a UFO experience,
no, not
can
if
someone from the future call in.
If you've had
flying in a saucer right now,
a rectal reboring, give us a ring.
If you've been rectally probed by an alien, do not get in touch.
No, well,
don't get in touch.
Only if it's a real experience.
If it's a real proper probing by a Martian.
We don't want to have the I was.
We had one guy who said he used to go and he got a burnt face from radio. Some very strange things. Anyway, it's all about your calls after this. So 0344 4991. Are you going out now? You're getting more like me.
Next week we'll have another video for you next week.
What video?
You know, like last week, an interview with someone.
Well, I was just tempted. I'll tell you what you're going to have to do. I mean, I know you're going to be around the studio anyway, but hang round just in case anyone's got any phone calls for you. 0344 499 1000. They can pop in and out of the studio depending on what comes through.
Yeah, so stay tuned. All about your calls, as I said. So 0344 499 1000. If you're a bit scared, you can leave us a message on WhatsApp. You can follow us on Twitter at Andre JP Walker.
At Virtual Ash.
Have you got anything Twitters?
No,
they haven't, so don't bother contacting us. Just contact us. We'll be back after the latest news. It's Talk. Keep it Talk. We'll be back after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, it's the Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould. Let's go straight to the phones. 0344 499 1000. Richard is in Belfast. Richard, you're on Talk.
Good evening, Andre. Good evening, Ash.
Top of the morning.
No, I don't do that.
No, it is top of the morning now, isn't it? It is the top of the morning. It's midnight.
Well, I suppose so.
Well, no, it definitely is.
Yeah, well, okay, it's top of the morning, Andre.
That's better.
Okay. So, Andre, first of all, you know the whole UFO thing?
Yeah.
So, Andre, why did we not do a tribute show to Howard? Seemingly we're so into UFOs now that he's dead.
Who? Howard? Sorry. Did you...
Oh, sorry, you don't know who Howard Hughes is?
Oh, Howard Hughes, yeah, who was obviously the foremost. Well, we should. Yeah, well, we're sort of doing that in honour of Howard, actually.
I'll tell you
obviously not as good as Howard can do it.
I'll tell you the reason. I'll tell you the reason that there was no replacement for Howard Hughes' show when he died was it was deemed to be offensive because he was the master.
No. I didn't ask about a replacement show. I said, why did we not do a tribute show to him?
Oh, a tribute show? We should do. Why have we never done a tribute show?
It's a good question. Well, thanks for letting us know. I don't know why we never thought of that.
No. Ash, Andre said, Andre and Patrick both told me we have planned a tribute show.
Did you?
Andre and Patrick.
Patrick who?
Not Patrick, Petrie.
Oh, Petrie. Yeah. Oh, did you tell him?
Funny, Ash?
Yeah, I'm sure you're right. I'm sure you're right that I promised a tribute show.
Chuck says he thinks there was one around Christmas, over Christmas.
No, there wasn't.
All right, okay. Well, we will look into it, but yeah, that would be a great. There's so much great stuff on there. I mean,
my favourite story about Howard Hughes, and I've told this on the channel multiple times, but this is great. They said, we've got a call. He was doing a Christmas show. We've got a call coming through, and it's Steve from Formby. And the bloke said, "Hello, Howard. It's your Uncle Steve. Does your dad still live at the same address?" And Howard was live on air. He went, "Yes, he does." He went, "All right, I'm going to go and visit him," and put the phone down. That was live on air.
Quite mysterious, isn't it?
National radio.
Yeah, man.
So I'm also going to explain a few UFO things.
Go on then.
So the Rendlesham Forest case.
Have you ever seen any activity?
No. So the Rendlesham Forest case.
That's right. Yeah, Rendlesham. The British Roswell.
Yeah. So that is very easy explained.
Right.
So how it is explained is that during that time, the Americans had bases here, and they were not supposed to have any nuclear activity on those bases. The Americans at that time were experimenting with drone-type crafts that were powered by nuclear power. That is how the guy got burnt, and that's what happened that night. There is no UFO involvement whatsoever.
Joe's back. Joe, what do you think about that?
People involved in the incident did think that there was something otherworldly about the craft. I believe even some of them said that they saw hieroglyphics on the surface.
Well, there's audio of it. You can actually hear the servicemen going, "God, what's that, man?" And there's a red dot, apparently, a red dot running around, and it could be a drone, you know. Yeah,
they did, and they done that, and they done that 7 months after the event when they were writing books. So Rendlesham is not a mystery. The other thing is,
well, that's that settled.
Erica Lukes, head of MUFON, and I think it was California, she was head of MUFON. But Erica Lukes, one of the oldest UFO researchers, she's been a researcher for more than 30 years. She said that she had to leave Skinwalker Ranch program because on 5 occasions she was asked to stand back while they staged UFOs and other events coming in.
Yeah, well, we would say, and I, make no secret of the fact, it is a controversial subject in the UFO world, So there are a lot of people that swear by Skinwalker Ranch, but there's also other people, like the person you mentioned there, who think it is a hoax. I'm not sold on it personally either way.
They're quite competitive, aren't they, UFO people? And they go, "Oh no, he's talking rubbish." It's like a bit like that, isn't it?
It's a massive industry. Yeah. Especially in America, you can make a lot of money appearing on podcasts and coming up with theories and changing your theories. But that's not to dismiss everything. There's clearly, we're at a place now, where the Americans are admitting on record that these craft that they're seeing perform manoeuvres that they, can't do themselves, they're saying it's not their craft. and it's not China, it's not Russia.
I mean, we're seeing on screen crop circles.
I mean, I definitely think there's a phenomenon out there, but I certainly don't think it's little green men.
Why wouldn't it be aliens, though, in this massive universe that we live in?
Because they'd never make it here.
Well, they can if you can fold time and everything.
No, I don't think it's people coming from other planets. I would be looking within our Earth. I think it's people coming.
One sort of sceptical thing you can talk about with this, it's quite interesting, is that the height of the UFO stuff really began after the Second World War and going into the Cold War.
Yes.
And then when the Cold War came to its conclusion, UFO sightings sort of dropped out of the public zeitgeist.
Well, that's why I always thought they were experimental planes.
But what's interesting, though, is then as tensions with Russia and China began to freeze more back, suddenly all this UFO stuff starts getting talked about.
And what is the common denominator is nuclear weaponry. Because that they're saying after Hiroshima and nuclear tests, that's when alien activity got interested in this planet. Although, of course, you've got the plains of Nazca in South America, which is thousands of years old, and they've drawn aliens on the ground, which, there's Eric von Daniken talked about that. And also the pharaohs, Egypt, some people say that was all, the pyramids was all to do with the UFO.
And also on Skinwalker Ranch, there are reports of lights in the sky and objects floating long before the invention of the aeroplane. So, you can't just dismiss this as a military operation.
Thanks, Richard. Well, anyway, let's get a religious perspective on this. He thinks it's demonic. Let's get Ken in London. Ken.
I would like to talk about another subject. I'm very sorry to say.
It's all right.
I would like to talk about the most important day in a person's life. You know what day that is?
The day you die.
The day you die. That is the most important day for every person on earth. And I want to just give you an experience I had maybe about 4 weeks ago, if it's okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
A number of years ago, I had a wonderful experience with Jesus, when I had a near-death experience. I didn't go to hell, but a wonderful experience with Jesus. I was resuscitated after a heart attack, and I'm glad to say I had a heart attack because of experiencing a wonderful time with Jesus in that situation. Well, about 5 weeks ago, pardon me, I was out walking, I was going out preaching, and all of a sudden a great weakness came over my body. I can't explain it. It's just like you lose your strength. The strength just went away from me.
Just drained out of you.
And my heart started to beat very irregularly. And I started to sweat a wee bit in my head.
Well, these are the symptoms of a heart attack, aren't they, Ken?
That's it. Some symptoms, yeah. There was no pain anywhere else. Anyway, I thought I'd go home. And I was walking home slowly, thinking about things. I thought about calling the doctor. I says, no, I'm not going to call the doctor. I'm just going to trust in Jesus. So I went home, and by the grace of God, I had a great calmness. I thought, well, maybe now I'm going to die today. This was my thoughts. Maybe I'm going to die today.
Yeah. And that's what happens when you are dying. Often you do overcome with great calmness. That happened to a mate of mine, yeah. With a chainsaw accident. He had his blood was going out his body in America, and there was no ambulances for ages, and it was bleeding out. And then he said at one point he just looked at the sky and he went, "Oh, it's a lovely day to die, actually," and you become all calm.
Okay, I can understand that.
It's the body.
Anyway,
it's just
by the
a
grace
physical.
of God, I'll come home to my flat. And I tidied up a wee bit. I thought, if my daughter comes to my...
Get rid of the porn mags.
What's that?
I'm joking.
Anyway, this is a wonderful experience to me because my heart was beating very irregularly, fast, then slow. I checked my pulse, and I just felt, no, there's no point of calling the ambulance. If I'm going to die, I'm going to be with Jesus.
So did you just go to bed and think you might die in your sleep, and then you woke up and you were all right? Is that basically what happened?
What happened was, when I lay in my bed, I just lay back and relaxed, and I was preparing, talking to Jesus, getting prepared that if I was going to die, I was going to meet God. And I just prayed for my heart. I said, Lord, I should heal my heart.
But see, your family would be very happy, because if, God forbid, you would die tomorrow, we would know that you'd have died a happy man.
That's right.
Yeah, but Ken, if you've had a situation like that, you should seek medical advice.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Seeing as you've got a history of having a heart attack, you should be going to your doctor. And anyone else listening, if you get these symptoms, do contact your doctor. 999 if you think you're having a heart attack.
Just remember, Ken, Jesus gave you the phone and the hospital and the number to ring.
You believe in medical intervention, don't
stop,
you, Ken?
Stop for a second. Look, what we're also talking about is someone who's 80 who fully understands the implications of his actions. So I mean, I understand why you're saying what you're saying, Joe, but at the same time, why would you why would you feel that your ministry on earth was something that you would want to leave?
Well, when I die, I believe and I know in my heart I'm going to be with Jesus, and that's much better. To be absent from the body, meaning death, is to be present with the Lord, Andre. All I'm just saying here is this is a wonderful advantage, and I wouldn't advise anybody who's got signs of a heart attack, call the doctor. I'm 80 years old. I've been very fit and healthy all my life. But all I'm letting informing is that for a Christian, it is wonderful, a wonderful peace to have in our heart, to know that death is not the end, and we're going to enter into the wonderful eternal presence of God.
Do you look forward to death then, Ken? Do you look forward to it?
Yes, I'm looking. You know the thing I'm looking forward to most of my life, Ash? Meeting Jesus face to face. It's going to be wonderful. The Bible says, prepare to meet thy God. Now, one of the most fearful things on earth is death. It's the last frontier for a human being. All I'm saying, I'm calling in tonight, is to tell you of a wonderful advantage of being a Christian. God gives us peace in our heart, and when we die, we go into his presence, and we enter into a place of exceeding great joy. It's all promised in the Bible.
And that is
Thank
Ken
you so
in
much.
London. Wonderful. Look, I feel really uplifted. But do go and see the doctor, Ken, because it sounded like you were having a bit of trouble. Are we going to go a break or take Yasmin? But yeah, we might not hear from him again. All right, we do. Ken, sorry, Ken. No, have a good night and sleep well. I didn't want to cut you off. You're still there, Ken?
Hello there. Listen, Ash.
I thought you gone. Yeah, Ken.
Listen, this is a serious situation. This is not... The Bible says it's appointed unto man to die once, but after this the judge. All I'm saying to you and all the listeners, listen, my friend.
Yes, Ken.
Get serious about Jesus. He died that we could get...
Ken's talking to you.
Believe in Jesus. Trust in Jesus. Your day of death is coming. My heart, by the way, my heart is fine now.
Well, now get it checked out, Ken, because you know what I mean. We don't. You should get it checked out. That's Ken, currently in London. He's been calling in for like 30 years. He originally was Ken in Lincoln, then he was Ken in the Highlands, then he was Ken in Newcastle. And these were all many years he was in. Now he's Ken in London. I said to him once, I said, "How'd you get around?" You know, he goes, "I'm in a housing association. I just phone up and go, I want to move to Westminster." I mean, that is, that's incredible. He's definitely got help from above. Anyway, we'll be with Yasmin the Witch, keeping up with all the mystical stuff. She's in Manchester, and we'll be with her. But if you want to join the 03444991000, Joe's here as well, our UFO experts. If you've got any abduction stories to tell us, ring that number, or if you're scared, send us a voice message on WhatsApp, 03444991000. Back after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Andrew in Salisbury, you can get out. He says,
good point.
Are the UFO bros Andre and Ash's children? They look like younger versions of them. What on
We've
earth?
been rumbled. They're our kids. I've had him. I didn't. We just thought we'd get him a job. It's nepotism.
I had him out of wedlock.
So yeah, great chips off the old blocks, aren't they?
Yeah, I met some birds from Dundee. Okay, right.
All right, laddie. All right, man.
Let's go to Yasmin, the teenage witch. Yasmin, you're on Talk.
Hiya, darling.
All right, Yas.
Andrea nearly wet myself when he said about Ken hiding the porn mag.
But that is true, though, isn't it? If you're going to die, what you do is you get your mates to hide the porn mags.
It was brilliant. What I was going to say is the 21st tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we've got...
Well, we all know that. You don't have to be a mystic to tell us that.
Yeah, it's the spring equinox. And at
It's the 21st now.
Yeah, at 6 o'clock at night tomorrow, 6 p.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern Time. It's called a synchronicity of the collective.
Yeah.
People are meditating for 5 minutes on love, peace, unity and respect.
At 6 tomorrow. At 6 today in the evening.
Yeah, 6 p.m. today.
Right.
And what it is people all around the world meditating for 5 minutes on love, unity, respect and peace.
And what happens when we do that? Will war all stop and everything?
Well, what it is if there's many minds focused on one thing, it can bring change because we're all transmitters and electrical batteries, really, the human being. Anyway, getting back to UFOs.
Yeah, well, it's Alien Abduction Day.
Yeah.
Have you ever had an experience of alien activity?
Well, put it this way, I've seen a UFO, I've had missing time, and I've also had very vivid dreams. I call them dreams, but they're actual...
But have you ever, Yasmin, have you ever seen the film Mysterious Skin?
No.
That is about...
I know what you're on about now. Come on.
So that's about a kid. That's about a kid who gets molested and believes he's been abducted by aliens because he has flashbacks to unusual things that have gone on. Now you've said before that you were a victim of sexual abuse. Is it possible that it's similar to the Mysterious Skin type thing?
Well, to be honest with you, when I was abused all my life, whatever. When I was in my 20s, I was in a loving relationship with my partner.
Right.
I didn't have any trauma in that way. I dealt with my trauma in a different way. Luckily for me, I could compartmentalise things. You know
Lock it away.
Exactly.
You see, that's what I think is Sigmund Freud. Everyone goes, oh, you've got to open things up. But I think the brain actually locks traumas away for a reason.
The first alien abduction case that was on record, publicised, was a couple called Betty and Barney Hill.
Right.
And,
have you heard...
Well, give us a second. Give us a second. Joe, finish the story. Yasmin, you can respond then.
So they were driving home, and they were an interracial couple in the 1960s in America. So they were not people that would want to draw too much attention to themselves.
Because of the racism.
Yes, and so they were driving home and appeared to be being pursued by a UFO, like a light in the sky. Yeah. And then they, like Yasmin was saying, seemed to have lost time, and they arrived back at their house and feeling very confused, and they lost time, and they seemed to be covered in this strange like pink powder. Now for weeks after that they kept having nightmares about being like experimented on. Both of them were having these nightmares.
Really?
Yeah, and what happened was they went under regression hypnosis to try and find out what this traumatic event was, and under the hypnosis they recalled what became the textbook alien abduction of the little, grey men with the big eyes, and then being led on and experimented on.
Often that's how they're described.
Yeah, and there's a sort of weird sexual element to the abduction as well.
Well, what do you mean by that? Can you expand on that?
They took semen samples from the man and probes for the but the really interesting thing about this is that she could recall under hypnosis, which she asked them, where do you come from, and they showed her what looked like a star map, and she under hypnosis could draw out the stars that she saw, and this was in the late 60s, and they couldn't match it to anywhere. But about 30 years later, our telescopes got better. It's an exact match for Zeta Reticuli.
But there is one risk about this. With the James Webb telescope now, and indeed other technological innovations, there are so many combinations in the sky that almost anything you draw would now become true.
Of course, but it is interesting because it does match up almost completely.
Yeah, but Andre, at that time when they did Beta Reticuli, when they saw it, there was no telescope could go that far to see it.
No, sorry, that wasn't the point that I was making.
You already explained that, Yasmin. Listen!
That wasn't the point I was making, Yasmin. If I was to draw now, if I was to get a piece of paper and a pen and just go XXX all over, and you were to look at what James Webb has found in the sky, you would find that there would be star constellations that would match up with anything I draw, because we've discovered that in our own Milky Way, there are a trillion stars.
Is it a bit?
It's a
billion or something.
Incredible amount beyond our
lashings of stars.
But but that's the thing with all these stories, is that the evidence really won't be enough. And even if a UFO lands and an alien comes out and Trump says this is alien,
they'll blame Israel. Let me stop, Joe, and go back to you, Yasmin. I asked Joe earlier, what does he think is going to be revealed, and what does he think all this is? What do you think it is?
Well, first of all, I believe that aliens walk among us. That's the first thing.
Okay.
The second thing I believe is our governments have known this since, before the First World War.
Why don't they tell us? Why don't they tell us, then, Yasmin?
Because of panic and religion. If you believe, and another thing as well, any superior race that has contacted an inferior race to do with technology has always killed the...
That's Professor Stephen Hawkwind's thoughts.
And the other thing is, there's a film called Communion, which is a good film to watch. But the thing is, I have actually seen UFOs and I've seen aliens in the daylight when I was fully awake.
Well, tell us about that, Matt. Tell us, Yasmin, what happened?
Well, the first time I saw a UFO, I was so shocked.
Where was this, by the way? Where was it? Manchester, was it?
Yeah, it was in Bury, near Bury.
Oh, it would be.
Yeah, and literally I saw it, and somebody else a few years later we were talking about it, and they said, "Oh, I saw that as well."
What did it look like?
Points. It was metallic. It had a shimmer like the desert on it, heat, and it was like a whipping top, like a diamond shape.
Okay.
It was a diamond shape.
Did it move very fast? I mean, how did it?
No, it was just stationary.
But did you stay there until it moved? Did it move off suddenly?
But there's another point, Yasmin, that's just crossed my mind based on what Joe just said. What you're describing isn't weirdly sexual. It is taking away ovary and semen samples in order to breed humans elsewhere.
Well, yes.
That's what I would assume.
Yeah.
Can I just tell you something? That happened to me. And I'll tell you another thing and all that's really weird. I had... many years ago, I was wanting to get pregnant again, you know what I mean, and have another child.
I know what you mean.
And I did a pregnancy test one day, and it was positive. It was real. I was pregnant.
Yeah.
And then about 4 months down the line, it came back in my mind, where's the baby? Because I went to the doctors, had a scan, no baby. And the weird thing is, I already had a little pot belly. You know what I mean?
It could be a phantom pregnancy. Have you got any kids, Yasmin? Have you had any kids?
Yes, of course I have. I've got children. But what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, you've got to realise some people say they see a UFO and everybody makes fun of them and they put them down.
Well, not now. I think now people are taking it quite seriously. There are still people that will do that.
Yeah, I think the attitude is slowly changing, but there is still a stigma attached.
Well, it's like saying you're an atheist or religious, you know what I mean?
If you see a UFO, this is all you do. You send a thought out to the universe, I want to see a UFO, and within 2 or 3 or 4 days you'll see one. The other thing you can do, which I did with a friend of mine, which was we got that £1 million candle torch thing and shone it and kept flashing it up, and literally they saw UFOs.
It attracts
Where
them.
I live, there are UFOs every single night.
But anyway, look, can we go back to this diamond thing? Because you never ended it. Did it fly off suddenly, or did it? What, did you get bored and just go home? How did it end? I mean, what happened? Did it go away?
It was right in front of me, across the road, which was a little road, above a bungalow, and I looked, and it was daylight, dusk.
Did it make a noise? Was it silent?
No sound at all, zero sound.
So what did you do? Did you just get bored at some point and go, or did you wait till it let...
No, who'd get bored at watching
Well,
that?
so tell us what happened then.
He got up, he went 1, 2, 3, and directly vertical, and it was out of sight.
That's aliens, that is. That's what they do, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah.
But I know they're all around us. I know I've seen them. I've seen them in public places.
And when you say alien, and you think aliens are walking among us, are you talking about an extraterrestrial from another planet, or are you talking about some kind of more spiritual...
And are they in human form?
Yes.
Let me explain. I'm psychic. You might not know it, but I'm psychic.
Well, you don't.
What I do is this. If I go anywhere, I was in Balmoral in Scotland, right? I was on the Balmoral estate. We were walking around and whatever. The Queen came over the little bridge in a what was it called? She drove Rover. Was it a Land Rover?
Yes, the Land Rover. Yeah.
The hill with a little scarf on and driving the opposite way and whatever. So we were in Balmoral. There was 4 of us, and I saw this group.
Sorry, what were you doing up in Balmoral, by the way?
Holiday.
You just went to the Royal Estate for a holiday?
Yeah, you can go out anywhere around Balmoral.
Yeah.
Brilliant salmon fishing up there as well. But anyway, I digress. So what I did was, there was a group of people, and I am not joking, I have never shook, my body's never shuddered as I saw them, because I knew they weren't human. And yet they looked human, they were tall, they were blonde, they were... I'm just telling you, it was a group of people.
Was it a group of Germans?
Listen,
Swedes.
Germans. Germans. Listen, I've met Germans. I've been over to Germany. I love it. The Germans are fantastic, although they don't get our humour. They're okay. But what I'm saying is, literally, these people was a group of people. It was 2 adults and 2 children. And literally, my body shook because I knew they were human. And the other thing I also saw were children who looked like children of the corn, you know, platinum blonde hair, dark eyes. I'm telling you, they're all around us.
I'll tell you what, there was I was watching one of these police shows where they go with police drivers, and there were these 2 blonde twins from Sweden, and they got stopped by the police. They were walking along the motorway, and what happened was the police tried to arrest them. They ran in the motorway. One got hit by a lorry and wasn't killed. Another one got hit by a car, wasn't killed. They were still fighting, punching the police. These were like 6-foot blonde women. I saw it with my own eyes on this thing. And then about a couple of years later, I saw a story about these girls, and they said one of them went to hospital, but she was a bit injured, but they'd been hit by trucks and I mean, it was unbelievable. And then one of them was just out, I think it was in Stoke somewhere, and some bloke said, do you want to come and stay at my, helping her out? And in the morning, she sort of killed him, basically. She went to court for murder, and she was found not guilty. Apparently there's something called a 5-minute madness where you can just get it. They said she just flipped out for 5 minutes, and she was found not guilty. And it was all very crazy. These were 2 very tall, they were good looking, they were like, and it was like what you described. These were blonde. It's out there on the net, and it was very strange. You know about this story, Yasmin?
Yeah, I saw it when
it's actually quite common with alien abductions for people to report seeing tall blonde figures alongside.
Well, this is on video. You should watch that.
Aliens. I will do.
Really? Go on, Yasmin.
Yeah. You know, when you were on about cattle mutilation.
Yes.
The reason why lasers are being used, and they're taking the tongue, half the face, the mammary glands, the glands and everything, and the anus is because those are the places that if there's any radiation in the body of the cow, that's where it collects.
Right.
And if there's any heavy metals in the milk, that's where it collects. Okay. That's why those areas on a cow are actually extracted, because they're doing a radiation check, and that is being proved.
Who is doing the radiation check?
The aliens.
Ah, so you do believe it's an extraterrestrial doing that?
Well, the reason is you can. There's two things about it. Wow. All the mutilations are happening in high areas. Mm-hmm. On cattle farms, ranches that are thousands of acres. Yeah. And if you get anything dead on them areas, birds will come and peck at them, and coyotes and things like that. These bodies that they find of the cows haven't even got one peck of a bird on them. No animal goes near them. There's something about that they sense about that animal.
That's true.
And the other thing about it as well is that when it comes to everything there's videos on the Earth showing satellites looking at alien craft coming down to the Earth and zipping in and out of our atmosphere. And that was on YouTube many years ago. And the other thing as well, which is the key thing, our government have known it for a long time. And I really believe that Keir Starmer is an alien.
Well, that would make a lot of sense, wouldn't it?
Yes, he is. I'm sure that's true.
Anyway, look, we've got to go to a break, but stay with us, Joe. All your UFO calls and other stuff you want to talk about. 03444 99 1000. It's Andre and Ash on Talk.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, it's the Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould. I guess we'll go to Grace in London. Grace, you're on Talk.
Hi, I hope you're having a good day.
Morning, Grace.
I still find it weird thinking about it being morning when it's dark.
Yeah, I know, it's weird, isn't it?
I wanted to say I had kind of slightly mixed feelings about this story regarding Trafalgar Square.
Yes.
Because I think that there's potentially some kind of free speech argument. And I ultimately think that we can choose to turn to to Jesus if we want to, and Muslims aren't stopping us doing that. So I don't feel quite as threatened as I think some people maybe do. But I also don't really know why they wanted to do something which is kind of worship in a very public place.
Yes.
Because it's quite different from, for instance, there'll be so far as I know, a passion play that is a recreation of Jesus' final days on Good Friday in Trafalgar Square, and that's something whereby you're showing to everyone the event and letting people know about something and think about something, and some other religious displays might be similar to that, but worship in the way that was happening with this Eid celebration doesn't seem like something you want to show to the whole public. And
I mean, I will say, a few of my friends who are from the evangelical community, we put together a small prayer service when Queen Elizabeth II died, and we literally out in the street with some candles, which kept blowing out, we did that in the centre of Windsor. So that was a very public display in a way that I wouldn't normally do as a Catholic, but I went along with it. It was quite good fun and quite a nice thing to do, and people got involved. So, but is that something that you would be uncomfortable with?
I wouldn't be uncomfortable with it in the sense of feeling that it was an attempt to intimidate or anything like that. Personally, I do feel quite awkward generally about all kinds of group prayer, not because I think there's anything wrong with it, just because I personally find it really awkward.
Yeah.
I think it's partly because, for me personally, if I'm praying out loud in a group, and most Christians do, it's completely normal in church and things,
yes.
But for me personally, if I'm praying out loud, then I'm worrying so much about what the other people are thinking of what I'm saying, I'm not concentrating completely on God, which is kind of the point of prayer. So I'm personally not massively good at group prayer.
What do you think about other religions doing their stuff in churches?
I'd really want to know why they were trying to do that, because I would not be happy about that personally.
Yeah.
I mean,
what about this policy by Rupert Lowe, which I have to say I'm in favour of, which is churches cannot be converted into anything other than normal buildings or other churches?
I mean, I'm loath to agree with Rupert Lowe because we had a nasty bust up on Twitter a few weeks ago.
Sure.
Yeah, but I think I would probably lean towards agreeing with him on that.
I'll tell you what I thought was good. If you go to Lambeth Palace, they got rid of a church and they turned it into the London Garden Museum. So it's allowed to be a museum, it's allowed to hold events and whatever, but it can't hold any religious ceremonies of any description.
I mean, ultimately, what matters is not the building. It is what people themselves are deciding.
What is important, I would suggest to you, is that you're deconstructing the infrastructure of a Christian society and directly replacing it with the infrastructure of a Muslim society. And in a majority Christian country, we should be generically opposed to that.
Well, I think that the thing is that it comes as a result of people choosing not to.
Yeah, I mean, that is true.
And go to church. So it's kind of just downstream from the main reality, which is people deciding that they're not really interested in God.
You say that though, Grace. You say that. The Irish left a lot of working class communities, and a lot of people from India, from the Caribbean, moved in. But it's fair to say that if you go to places like Liverpool and Manchester, certainly that I know, a lot of Polish people moved in, and those Catholic churches, which had been hugely unpopular, perhaps in the 90s, in the 2000s, had new energy. Now, ultimately, it's easier to take over a failing institution than it is to establish a new one yourself. And whether the Poles would have been able to build their own Catholic churches, I don't know. So the fact the infrastructure was there did make life easier.
Yeah, and kudos to them for doing that. But I'm kind of thinking that churches are awesome, and yet at the same time, Jesus didn't actually spend most of his time in buildings. So,
well, he went to the synagogue, didn't he? He kicked out all the moneylenders. He was a good Jewish boy.
He also went round and preached in the open air. So I think that. And again, that's a public thing where you're sharing information rather than just gathering together in the way that happened in Trafalgar Square the other day. Again, I have mixed views on that. But I think that we shouldn't imagine that the heritage is all that matters, because Jesus told each person to decide whether they're going to turn to him. And it's not just about the tradition and the architecture, as nice as those things are, but those aren't what Jesus said matter most.
OK. Thank you very much, Grace. That was interesting. And
why don't you go for an early break, and then we've got a good run at the final segment with all of our...
It's a brilliant idea. Do it.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk, and this is the Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould in this final stretch. And I just want to remind you, everyone who was celebrating Eid yesterday and today, Eid Mubarak, we just want to be really, really clear that whilst we are hugely critical of people like the Muslim Brotherhood and people that have attempted to divide our community, normal, sensible people who go out to work and pay their taxes, we are the friend of them, whether Jews, Christians, Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs, or indeed anything else. Let's go straight to Brian in Whitley Bay. Brian, you're on Talk.
Hi, man.
Hi, Ash. Hi, Andre. I was just thinking, right, no one's ever mentioned this yet. We live in a technological age where millions of people, hundreds of millions of people around the world have got very clever smartphones with instant videoing. How come there are not thousands upon thousands of...
well, we do see a lot now, but with AI now, it's hard to tell, isn't it?
Yeah, but people who are genuine and they do see something in the sky and they can instantly video it, and they can even get a close-up image on it. How come we don't
have you seen
as well?
Have you seen the American military, the pilots and the Navy that have actual videos of these craft? Have you seen that? I mean, that's unbelievable. Anyway, our expert's back. Joe, Joe's just putting his mic on. Did you hear what Brian was saying there?
Yeah, you make a good point, Brian, with that, because people do have phones in their pocket, and we aren't seeing the kind of videos, or the number of videos that you'd expect. But you know, would maybe the pilots of these UFOs could be aware of that? You know, because they were always seen in remote areas. It's very rare for a UFO to be flying over a city. So
and they can switch off technology. I mean, that's what's been reported with the USS Roosevelt and other ships. But there is the odd thing caught, and like the military stuff that's been caught by planes.
Yeah, so we've had
released by the states.
Yeah,
the government.
Actual radar contacts have been recorded.
Well, and video from pilots, you've seen it.
Yeah, that too. So there is definitely something going on, but yes, you're right. We're not seeing it at the level that you'd think maybe we would with.
Have you ever had any experiences, Brian?
I've seen a few shooting stars when I've been up in Northumberland where it's pitch black up there. I mean,
have you ever seen Northern Lights? Because you can see them up there, can't you? Sometimes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I haven't, to be honest. But I've seen shooting stars. As I said, a few things in the sky, and I thought, what's that? It must be, stars flying around everywhere. But
well, no, shooting star is just a thing flicking through our atmosphere and burning up. It's not actually a shooting star.
Yeah, it's a meteor.
It's a little tiny bit of meteor.
What's the difference between a meteor and a comet? A comet doesn't come into the atmosphere, and a meteor does.
I'm not sure.
Well, I think a comet's a lot bigger with
what about an asteroid?
Tail. It's a much bigger.
I think an asteroid is a comet.
Is it? I don't know. Well, it's Halley's comet.
Who invented the skip?
Do you remember Hale Bopp? That was there for about a year. There was a comet, and it was up there and it had a tail, and it was just slowly.
Somebody told me. No, in fact, I know that this is true. The Earth normally only has one moon, but apparently every now and again it has 2 or 3. Like another. Apparently, a couple of years ago, a car-sized object came into our orbit for a bit and was a moon for a couple of weeks to the Earth, and then sort of disappeared.
Do you know something Yasmin was saying about the equinox?
Yeah,
that's right. Do you know the pyramids of Giza? They actually have 8 sides, not 4, but you can only see the indentations in the middle of each side through the light of the equinox.
Yeah, I'd heard that.
Wow. It's mad, and you can see the photographs of when you do have that light, and it looks like a completely different structure.
And apparently, we couldn't even make the pyramids now with our technology.
Well, we don't know how they made the pyramids.
No, it's all to do with the fact that how can you make it perfectly rectangular? Perfectly triangular, but also sort of build it from the bottom.
Yeah.
So they can, and then how do you get these stones right at the top?
And but also, there's no perfectly with stars.
But also, these are millions of tons, and there's been no subsidence. They've always stayed flat. How did they do that? Well, thousands of years.
And they're probably more complex structures. And some people have said that they were probably lined with marble and all this sort of stuff.
What is the equinox? Is it to do with the sun and being far away, furthest away?
It's actually just to do with a slight sort of jolt that happens on the Earth's axis, which isn't actually anything mysterious at all. And someone actually made that as because there's a theory of ancient aliens that they were responsible for our past civilizations and built the pyramids and all that. And someone quite smartly said, well, if that were the case, why do all these cultures put so much weight on the equinox when all it is just a freak of gravity?
I mean, also they say, the Earth can change on its axis, or sometimes the polarity can reverse, so positive and minus can suddenly... I mean, that would mess up all our systems, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would.
By the way, my favourite detail of space travel is... Obviously, we've been talking tonight about Islam. It is Eid. Well, I think I've told you this before. How do you pray to the east if you're an astronaut?
Where's Brian gone?
How do you pray?
So apparently what you actually have to do... is you have to pray towards Mecca. But they say, obviously, given that you're moving at 20,000 miles an hour, what you do is you pray towards Mecca at the beginning of your prayers. If by the end of it you are no longer facing towards Mecca, that's fine, because otherwise you'd be sort of running round and jumping.
Well, anyway, Brian, give us a ring. You had another question, but we'll go. Give us a ring back quickly. We might get you on. Let's go. Don't forget, Benedict Fletcher's on after us. Talk sport.
By the way, I want to... Cindy from Michigan, I do want to ask you a question, Cindy. On my YouTube channel, I've been talking about the fact that Donald Trump is threatening NATO. I don't know if you were listening earlier, but I genuinely believe that if the United States of America is going to support us in Europe, then we should support them in their adventure in the Middle East and help in the Straits of Hormuz.
Yeah, absolutely. We need your support. We need your support.
Well, we owe it to you. You're our protector. We've only got America, really. That's what we've got to remember.
If the Americans go into the Straits of Hormuz and lose a load of people, and then the Russians invade the Baltic, there's no way There's no way that kids in Alabama are going to board a plane to go and fight to retake Riga when the Straits of Hormuz were not supported.
By the way, quick
NATO.
story. Trump ready to put boots on the ground. Pentagon draws up plans to seize strategic Karg Island after US President calls NATO allies cowards. Donald Trump is considering putting American troops on the ground. He will do in Iran. His top spokesman said on Friday night the Pentagon has drawn up plans that could involve seizing Karg Island, Iran's key oil terminal in the Persian Gulf. Anyway, sorry, Cindy. Carry on.
Oh, no, that's okay. I wanted to say I got on late last night. I caught your show after you had recorded it, and I want to say your show was probably one of the most powerful I'd ever seen.
Oh, really? Thank you.
It was a lot about abortion and it was a lot about the Iran war, wasn't it?
Yeah, mainly abortion. And I wanted to share with you guys, there was a story in particular that you were reading from a woman who had to vaginally deliver a baby.
Yes.
You were reading that story, and
she had a baby. She had a baby that died, but she had to give birth anyway.
Yeah, well, having to vaginally deliver the baby, that story.
Yeah.
The exact same thing was my story.
Oh wow, I'm so sorry.
Not what happened with the next pregnancy that she had, but the first one. And you had said there's no definition for when a parent loses a child, and you're so correct, because I'll tell you, it's so traumatic.
Yeah.
I had spent the next 6 years subconsciously killing myself. That's what led me to having to need a liver transplant.
Oh, really? You were drinking heavily?
I was drinking too much. I never told you guys, but I was drinking too much, and I had to make the decision to live. But I hope with everything in my heart that your representatives do the right thing. And, you know, in America, there are some states that offer abortion till the very end as well, at the 9 months.
One thing I wanted to say, so I made the comment, partly disparagingly, but partly honestly, that, you know, at the end of the day, we don't want to be two blokes sat here telling women how to live their lives, but I hope you felt that we did it in a responsible and respectful way.
Absolutely, 100%. 100% I did. And you, just because you don't have children doesn't mean you're not part of the human race.
Exactly.
Doesn't mean you don't have hearts and you don't have minds.
Yeah. And we, you know, of course, it's not up to them anyway. You know, a 9-month-old baby doesn't have a voice. You know what I mean? Who's talking up for them?
And also, we're both uncles and very proud to be.
Yeah.
And you're part of. If you make a baby, you're 50% of that baby. And
but I worry though that it's just so easy to blame the women and not remember how poor we are at helping at a societal level women in distress.
Anyway, look, Cindy, we've got to go now because coming up after this, as Talk and Talk Sport mingle as one together, it's Benedict Fletcher.
Well, look,
his name's Ben Fletcher, but I think Benedict sounds
well, look, I want to ask Ben Fletcher about this big sports story that's on the front page of the newspapers, which I don't know if you've just seen. This Ricky Hatton may have sustained a brain injury, and whilst obviously we're talking about him being depressed and there was some assumption that he'd committed suicide, it may well be that an injury sustained in boxing is the reason why he ended up in the position that he's in. That's going to be hugely toxic for the sport. I mean, I've talked about the fact that I'm in this new film about Michael Watson. But you've got Gerald McClellan, you've got Michael Watson, you've got Muhammad Ali in a terrible state. If Ricky Hatton had either temporarily lost control or whatever, there's going to be, once again, calls for the sport to be banned, maybe?
Good morning to you both. I've read Ricky Hatton's autobiography, and it's an amazing book. He was my favourite fighter, Ricky Hatton.
He was amazing. I mean, he took 40 or 50,000 Brits to Vegas with him, and no one ever did that.
Well, that's when I sort of hopped on the bandwagon. I mean, it was actually him that really got me into boxing.
Always jumps on it after everyone else.
But it was him really that sort of got me into boxing. Before that, it was always in the background.
Did you not watch the Eubank? Are you too young? The Eubank Ben years was.
It was always in the background. But with Ricky Hatton, I mean, having read his autobiography, I mean, he spoke very openly about having mental health issues for many years, and he did talk about.
But of course, the assumption was that was something natural or biological.
Yeah,
it could very easily be related to the boxing in a way that we don't understand.
But perhaps, having read his autobiography, it was omnipresent. And
right, okay.
And we do know, if you go into boxing, there's a big likelihood. First of all, you could be killed. Second of all, there's a likelihood you will get brain damage because your brain stems being bashed around with amazing kinetic energy, and people are lucky to come out the other end intact.
But I think in any field, be it boxing, be it performing arts, be it football, whatever you name it, I think with genius, it's the mercurial thing, isn't it? You can get flawed genius. I think people who, I mean, you look at like Vincent van Gogh tried to take off his own ear.
All the best footballers. I mean, look at Maradona, Gaza, all the best, George Best, they all have a Cantona. They all have Zinedine Zidane. A lot of them, it comes with it, doesn't it?
Do you think elite sportsmen have to be extremists?
Good question. I think there's been some links